the maternal father of the Pokémon world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351 Target. Eminem triggered the Mega Evolution as soon as he started. As a trainer who has only been traveling for half a year, he has already mastered the Mega Evolution. He is truly a genius. And I heard that Eminem's time was still very short at the beginning. But after a period of practice, I can now maintain it for a long time. The host talked about the information collected in advance. Of course, Eminem, as an expert pharmacist, must be very solid in theoretical knowledge. There are many similarities in knowledge. Napoleon didn't have any objections to Eminem point. After all, the title of expert pharmacist proves that Eminem is not a trainer who steps on the mud. The petals of the mega frog trembled at this moment, and the first skill was ready, and he stamped his feet with great momentum. Garlic. When Lion shouted and looked at King Slow, the Metagross on the side suddenly erupted and rushed out of the vines, covering King Slow. From this angle, it seemed ordinary skills are not easy to get around Eminem's. Bulbasaur is about to use its skills. The host just said point. Napoleon then took up the conversation and said, King Slow is restrained by grass, but Megrum is resistant to grass. As long as Megrum blocks Bulbasaur's attack. I saw the menacing Mega Flower, stamping its feet, and using hypnotic powder. As the huge flower on its back swung, the pollen that was given a hypnotic effect due to the skill hit Metagross in the face. It doesn't matter whether you tolerate grass or not, just urge first as a sign of respect. Originally, if we aimed directly at the Metagross, it wouldn't be impossible to dodge it. However, Arwelly mistakenly thought that Eminem was going to use grass-based skills to attack the Slowking first, so he mentally directed the Megrum to cover. As a result, the Megrum had no time to dodge. Arwelly is almost certain this guy did it on purpose. He actually pretended to be ferocious. Metagross was directly hit with hypnosis powder, and even the super Pokémon immediately fell asleep with eyelids trembling. Fortunately, Metagross, as a super type Pokémon, has stronger mental power and is easier to wake up. So it won't take too long. Napoleon said stiffly at this time. Megrum sleeps there, so naturally no one touches it. Even Slowking wants to attack and wake up Megrum, but Bulbasaur stops it with vines. With 1 against 2, King Slow is in danger one after another. At this moment, Coconut Egg Tree completed its skill preparations first. In terms of growth level, Armen and Arswan are higher than their opponents, and Metagross has a speed race value higher than Bulbasaur. Between Coconut and Coconut, Slowking is a purely slow Pokémon with the lowest speed in the field. Contestant Eminem chose to Mega Evolve Bulbasaur as soon as he came up. It shows that he did not intend to use the sunny day tactics. So, hiccup. Napoleon was about to predict Eminem's operation and prove that Duel Academy's level. Result. Before Napoleon finished speaking, he saw the Coconut Egg Tree swinging the bush above his head. Just when King Slow was trying to avoid something, the surrounding sunshine burst into intense sunlight. A little sun floats on the field. What? How is this possible? Could it be that Eminem has been able to make Mega Evolved Pokémon retain their pre-Mega characteristics? Napoleon was wondering when he saw Eminem's Bulbous retreating from its Mega Evolved form. Come back. Napoleon. Well, it's not such a difficult technique, but a simpler and cruder method. I saw Bulbous, who was no longer in Mega form. The leaves on its back were slightly shining with fluorescence in the rich sunlight. It was a chlorophyll characteristic that was activated. At this time, Bulbous's skill accumulation speed increased greatly, almost doubled. Metagross was still asleep, and Slowking, who was purely slow in skill preparation, was directly trapped by Bulbasaur under chlorophyll. King Slow on the field has not used a single skill, but Bulbasaur opened his mouth and condensed a colorless energy ball. At this moment, Eminem also activated the Mega Evolution again. After a burst of light of Mega Evolution, the Mega Frog Flower appeared. The energy ball was still condensing in its mouth. When the evolution was completed, it spat it out. After spitting it out, it quickly absorbed the surrounding sunlight and turned into a fireball, hitting Metagross right in the middle. It is under a sunny day that the weather ball behaves as a fire attribute. Slow King actually wants to block the knife. As a Pokémon with water plus super attributes, it is fire resistant. It's a pity that it is not Megrum, and Megrum is still asleep at this time. With Biabus trying its best to restrain it with vines, it is difficult for it to do anything. It can only watch Metagross helplessly. Metagross was hit head on. The giant Metagross, which was already weak to fire, suddenly suffered heavy damage. But the good news for all is that after suffering a heavy blow, Metagross finally woke up. The giant Metagross woke up instantly, without even a second of confusion, and immediately stared at the coconut egg tree. I saw the energy of ice flashing on its 4 iron claws, and then they stretched forward one after another. And the whole body shot like cannonballs towards the coconut egg tree with 3 silly faces. Not only did our men feel nervous, but Arswan saw this and quickly blocked it with vines, which greatly reduced the pressure on Kingslow, and Megrumberg still broke through many obstacles and hit coconut egg tree with 4 punches. It was the ice element skill, freezing punch, that restrained grass element, although Mega Frog Flower is more threatening. It is also too thick-skinned. It is obvious that Oi is preparing to break through from coconut egg tree the next moment. Kingslow finally completed his skill preparation point and his short hands were seen covering the shell hat on his head in a comical way. The next moment, a burst of insect chirping came out. It was a signal beam of the insect system. Oi's Slowking actually has signal beam. This must be intentional. The host was about to say that this should be aimed at Eminem's skills, but Napoleon interrupted at this time. That's right. Signal beam is difficult for the Slowking to learn, but once learned, it can effectively supplement the strike surface. Napoleon did not want to be said to be targeted, but used the strike area to talk about the matter. Indeed, the strike area of insect type is small, but it is better than water type and super energy type. There is no overlap in the attributes of the 2 stupid kings, especially for coconut egg tree. The insect type can restrain grass type and super type at the same time. However, although Eminem was slightly surprised at this time, he did not panic. Instead, he curled up his lips. After all, this damage was just enough to trigger the tree fruit potion that our men had eaten before. Chapter 352 Target. Eminem's Bulbasaur has regressed back to its normal state. It doesn't look like he's exhausted. It's probably intentional. As expected of Eminem, his mastery of Mega Evolution seems to be superb. The host couldn't help but sigh. Mega Evolution is a test of the bond between the trainer and the Pokémon. Even if you master it, it usually requires the emotions of the two to be consistent and resonate to be able to activate. Some trainers who have just mastered this technique even have to shout slogans, warm up, and get excited before they can activate Mega Evolution. Being able to activate it right away is already a sign of proficiency. And looking at Eminem's appearance, it's clear that he activates whenever he wants to activate and deactivates when he wants to. It's all a tactical consideration. When using a skill or receiving an opponent's skill attack, Mega Evolution will be activated, and usually it will be activated, degenerate back and maintain the characteristics of chlorophyll, but every time he Mega evolves, it consumes a lot of physical energy. It would take much more energy for him to do this than to maintain the Mega Evolution for the entire game. Napoleon was also puzzled. Didn't he say that a few months ago he was still short? Why is it so durable now? At the same time, under Arwen's focused fire and targeting, Eminem's coconut egg tree saw its physical strength drop greatly, but it was at this moment a burst of vegetation energy rippled out, and the coconut egg tree skill was ready instantly. Satho Potion. This must be Satho Potion. It seems that Eminem's coconut egg tree also took Satho Potion beforehand. Napoleon immediately said his real insights. Satho Potion is a combat potion made from the main material of Satho fruit. When it takes effect, it can allow Pokémon to overdraw its skills once. Is Satho Potion? The host repeated Napoleon's words. Ahem. You'll find out after you read it. Napoleon lost his voice and changed the topic awkwardly. The coconut egg tree on the field was now facing King Slow and was about to launch an attack. Upon seeing this, Megrim immediately launched an attack from the flank to cover. The attributes of Metrogrus and Slowking are promising in zone defense, and reality is not a game. Metrogrus does not bring swap field, which does not prevent them from covering each other. However, at this moment, I saw a face on the side of the coconut egg tree, facing the incoming giant Metrogrus with a silly smile on its face. His expression suddenly tightened, and the Megrim with outstanding fighting instincts also felt a great sense of crisis. But it's too late. This is what the Metrogrus took the initiative to do. At first, it thought it was hypnotic powder again, and wanted to avoid it using the dust avoidance skill. But I saw Armen shaking his head at this time, and the leaves on his head bloomed with a burst of evil grey-black energy, forming a black magic hand, and suddenly grabbed the giant Metrogrus. This distance is longer than hypnosis powder. The Metrogrus that approached on its own initiative was still a little behind, and could not move away. It was caught, and immediately made a harmonic version of the metal trembling sound. Metrogrus family needs to unite when evolving. A Megroma has 4 brains at the same time. The coconut egg tree on the field once again bloomed with rippling plant energy. This is the evil thief. I never thought that Eminem's coconut egg tree could actually learn the thief skill. The host was very experienced and reacted immediately. Napoleon immediately said unconvinced, "This is a needle. This is a very difficult skill for a coconut egg tree to learn." The host was obviously a little unhappy with this obviously biased and rhythmic commentator, and interrupted him directly. Hearing these familiar words, Napoleon didn't know how to refute. Indeed, coconut egg tree can theoretically learn thief, but it is very difficult to learn evil skills. I can only say that Eminem is well trained. Evil skills, restraining superpowers. More importantly, despite the fact that thief only has 60 power and is a physical attack skill, not only does coconut egg tree have a high physical attack, but more importantly, thief also has important additional effects. That's the stealing target's prop location. The modern alliances very straightforward in naming Pokémon skills. It is precisely because of this effect that this move is named thief, but in fact it does not actually steal things, but targets the Pokémon's item gene segment. The essence of the evil system's authority is plunder and intimidation. The thing is actually still in the other person's body, but the effect comes to the user, for example now. So that's it. It seems that contestant Ois Metrogrus also took Shadow Potion beforehand. That's what Principal Napoleon wants us to see, right? The host said with a smile. Napoleon, indeed, because Metrogrus is Arwen's trump card, so he has high hopes for Metrogrus. This allows it to have a chance to make a comeback and overdraw its skills once when it is in danger. But now the coconut egg tree is directly cheaper. Directly let the coconut egg tree use the skill again, and the backhand is a hypnotic powder. However, if hypnosis powder is used directly like this, the hit rate is still very problematic. In addition, the Megrombaset's combat intuition is actually avoided by it. Well, the bad news is that the effect of Shadow Potion was wasted. The good news is, the effect of Metrogrus was wasted. At the same time, looking at the leaves above Armen's head, which were also fluorescing under the strong sunlight, or you could also guess that the characteristic of this coconut egg tree should be harvest. In other words, the frequency with which it uses skills now has nothing to do with the speed. It all depends on the regeneration speed of the ingredients of shadow fruit to infinitely overdraw, and under sunny weather, the effect of harvest will take effect very quickly. Arwen, who thought he was good at calculating and was called Iron Slave by his classmates behind his back, was a little panicked at this time. At this moment, Eminem once again inspired Mega Evolution while ignoring Slowking and using all his strength to contain Megrim with vines. For opponents that move quickly like Megrim, they must be restrained first with vines. Live. The hit of the skill is guaranteed. Another weather ball came down. Originally, his level was not as good as Aswan's, but now he was struck by his weaknesses one after another. Megrimberg was already remnant in the wind on the spot, and because the effect of Shicho potion was taken away. It has no chance to overdraw its skills. Sure enough, Eminem immediately released the Mega Evolution at this time. This momentum of multiple Mega Evolutions really made everyone marvel at Eminem's persistence. Dang dang. No one will dislike it. For an author who guarantees 3 updates, even if he has a cold, the 3rd chapter will be late, right? Isn't Dang Dang the only one who thinks that? If you update while sick, you should vote monthly. Chapter 353. Is it necessary to fight? Eminem's Mega Evolution is a little too skillful, and his energy can actually keep up. Principal Napoleon, what do you think? This must be some kind of special ability. Napoleon gave a general answer on the other side, off the field, whether in the audience or on the TV broadcast. There are countless people saying a guy's point I didn't expect to see. So many routines in the rookie competition. What kind of sloking is this? With a signal beam. What kind of coconut egg tree is this? And it has a thief, of course. There are also many trainers who privately criticize iron slaves, wind demons and the like. Indeed, many trainers believe that training Pokémon in this way is not the right way. Point even in the village rules of some village competitions, there are restrictions on skills such as hypnosis powder on the field, or he obviously didn't want to give away his trump card at this time. After the Magrombus skill was ready, he quickly replaced it and sent out Hoodie. It is undoubtedly another very smart Pokémon. As soon as the Hoodie appeared, Liang, who was accelerating like crazy, and Amen, who used overdraft as a routine, were already fine again. Point seeing that Amen is already secreting pollen from the top of his head, preparing to urge the Hoodie. That is difficult to deal with, while Asuan's leaves are flashing, preparing to kill the Slowking with grass type skills. But this time Arway finally got it right. The moment Amen and Asuan started to use their skills, Hoodie immediately used Swap Site, instantly switching places with King Slow. Swapping venues is also a good skill. If you master the skills normally, you can only exchange positions with each other when the target cooperates with you. Therefore, on the battlefield, the only use is to exchange positions with teammates in double play. It is usually used for joint defense swap. Become a Pokémon with a resistance, attribute to shift positions, to block damage. Point of course, there are also some powerful trainers and Pokémon who have mastered this move to perfection, awakened their skills, and can forcibly transfer the target, that is, in double play. As long as they master the rhythm well, they can even defeat the opponent's teammates. Switch over and attack. In addition, this move is the opposite of teleportation. It is a preemptive skill, which means it can be used in overdraft. Point just like Hoodie is now overdrafted. I saw that the positions of Hoodie and Dead King were instantly exchanged. Dead King was hurried by Hypnosis Powder, while Hoodie took a shot of Petal Dance. Moreover, Eminem and Asuan skillfully performed another Mega Evolution to ensure their attack power. Well, although Hoodie is not tolerant to grass, at least it is not weak to grass, and it is still smaller than Slowking to take the losses. As for King Slow, he could just go to sleep, and the loss would be less than Hoodie being delayed. Anyway, these superpowered big smarts are the types who are easier to wake up. Petal Dance. Arwen's eyes lit up at this moment. Point Napoleon immediately said, Or's opportunity has come. Bulbasaur has locked the Petal Dance. Yes, normally speaking, after using upper level moves such as Petal Dance and Reverse Scale once, the Pokémon will continue to use upper level moves without listening to the trainer's instructions until it falls into a chaos state. Not to mention, whether it is confusing or not, the main reason is that its moves are now locked, which means I saw the Slowking who was sleeping at this time. His skills had just been ready, and he was immediately replaced by Oi, and replaced by Megrum. Although Metagross is in poor condition, but Megrumberg is also a thick-skinned Pokémon, and is resistant to grass and superpowers. Now Bulbasaur's skill is locked, and Coconut's Thief must have the opponent's item gene segment. Only when something is bound can it be effective. Isn't this the best time to show up? Napoleon was also very satisfied. He was indeed an outstanding graduate of the college, and he thought of this instantly. Then, Metagross received another fireball. Ah no, it was a weather ball. I saw that Bulbasaur, who had Mega Evolved again, was not affected by the side effects of petal dance at all. He calmed down instantly, turned around and fired, weather ball, who D hasn't made up for his last overdraft. At this time, there is nothing he can do. He can only watch Metrograss collapse. After losing the battle not long after he appeared again, it's as if they were specially sent here to send Metrograss. Has lost its combat effectiveness. Please ask player Ori to replace the Pokémon. The referee on the field made an announcement, and in the commentary off the field, the host was also marveling at how good Eminem was at soothing Pokémon. As for Napoleon, he was silent point at this time, when he sent out King Slow again, but King Slow still hadn't woken up yet. This made Eminem guess that the last Pokémon he brought in double battle should not be able to face with the current situation. That's why we would rather resend the Slow King who is in terrible condition. If this is the case, the double match is almost over. Amen at this time. After the Shicho fruit component in the body was regenerated and could be overdrawn again, a flying leaf storm came immediately. The grass energy turned into pieces of flying leaves, sweeping the entire place like a storm. Not to mention the opponent, even Arsuana's within the attack range point. However, Bulbasaur is inherently resistant to grass, so this attack is nothing to it. On the contrary, Slowman, who had not yet woken up and was not in the best condition, was directly defeated by the flying leaf storm that restrained him and fainted after losing the battle. At the same time, the surrounding sunlight gradually faded away. Apparently, the power of the sun that had been concentrated on the previous sunny day had been exhausted by this time. King Slut has lost his fighting power. Please ask player Ori to change the Pokémon. Under the urging of the referee, Ori finally sent out a Swamp King point. Well, unlike the previous Metrograss, Hoodie, and King Slow, you can tell by looking at it that this is a big smart point, and Eminem also understands why Ori was unwilling to reveal the last Pokémon, Swamp King, a dual type water plus ground Pokémon. This is a direct double weak grass. In front of Biofrog Flower, I might not be able to catch a single skill. What's the point of playing? It's not that when he got the wrong Pokémon. After all, before the game, he felt that Metagross was enough to deal with grass types, and Amu was not a pure grass type trainer, so he brought a Swamp King to deal with Arweni. Mew's other Pokémon are also normal point. Butori had never thought before that Amu's two grass type starters would have forced him to send out Swamp King, which was basically a waste in front of Biofrog. Fortunately, the effect of Sunny Day has now passed, and Eminem's Bulbasaur no longer releases the Mega status, and Coconut Tree is too overdrawn, and there is no chance to replace it. Now he uses the special attack, Flying Leaf Storm. Harvest has also slowed down in taking effect, and in addition, there is not much physical strength left, and it is basically useless. He tried his best, but he only created opportunities for Hoodie to get rid of the Coconut Tree that was already candles in the wind. In the commentary, Napoleon could only comfort himself and said, okay, or he got at least 2 points, so there is still room for singles. Hehe. Well, Eminem is also ready. I heard that he has difficulty choosing. I wonder if Pip's Tongue plus Zenki Fist can cure him. Chapter 354 Singles. The double phase between Eminem and Ori is over. There is a short break. Ms. Joy off the court will heal the Pokémon on both sides. Generally speaking, with this kind of emergency treatment, as long as the Pokémon is not overstretched, it can roughly recover. Later, when it appears in a single duel, it will only show slightly less physical strength and be more vulnerable to weakness. At the beginning time, it can still exert more than 90% of its strength point. If emergency treatment is not possible, then treatment will be needed for a few more days, even if the intermission is extended. At this time, highlights were playing on several large screens around the venue. Biobus suddenly used Hypnosis Powder. King Slow suddenly used Signal Beam. Coconut Egg Tree suddenly used Thief. Coconut Egg Tree suddenly used Hypnosis Powder. In the swapping ground of Hoodie, Biofrog repeatedly mega evolves and degenerates, and is freed from the upper state of Petal Dance. During the duel, there were several video Rotoms flying in the air, taking pictures from various angles. After all, the official match is different from the qualifiers. It will be broadcast, live all over the world, of course, because it is only the rookie match. It will only be played in Quartz Alliance, especially in the Kanto region. Has better ratings. What is being played now is the various moments that the professional trainers on the scene consider to have a decisive impact on the battle situation, and are handed over to the editor to edit them and play them during the midfield point. You can see from the number of close-ups of both sides why Eminem can win. The audience outside the field also started talking a lot. Although in general, this was Eminem's clever tactics, but not everyone felt that Eminem's players were too high quality. Eminem is indeed an expert pharmacist, and his brain is very useful. I think you may have misunderstanding about pharmacists. Hey, if you force Pokémon like this just to win, there won't be much development. Didn't you read what it said in the news? Research results from many gyms show that trainers who do this, although very strong at the beginning, can reach the level of King of Heaven. The probability of level 1 is much smaller than that of a sex trainer. You don't have eyes? Look at Bulbasaur's Mega Evolution and its durability. Let's talk about it carefully. Who forced the Pokémon to do so? But it's true that there are too many tactics, and I don't see any bond with Pokémon. Isn't that what your traveling trainer always says? The little academic school has exposed its faults. It is indeed you who are making trouble. That's right. As long as you have a bond. My god, the stupid king of Signal Beam has come out. Here, in the commentary room, Napoleon can still be tough. If he can defeat one of the opponent's Pokémon in a doubles match, he still has a chance point. If doubles is directly blocked, then singles basically has no hope. Only if no Pokémon is defeated in singles and gets all 9 points can we win 9:8. It's too difficult to be human point. And if you defeat one of your opponent's Pokémon in a doubles match, you'll get 2 points at least point later. In the singles, even if a Pokémon is defeated by the opponent, the score is 11-11, and when the score is tied, the outcome of the singles is given priority. At least there is more fault tolerance. It's time for the singles match. Please enter the venue. Along with the sound of the broadcast, Eminem and Arway, who had adjusted their mood, came to the venue again and shook hands first to show friendship. I won't lose again in singles. Oi said righteously. Come on. Eminem smiled slightly. Oi. Players vs Eminem players. Standard points rules, 4 points competition. Let's have a singles duel first. Please both sides release the starting Pokémon together. As soon as the referee finished speaking, both sides pressed the game ball together. As soon as Oi came up, he sent out his trump card, Metagross. Indeed, with Metagross's excellent attributes and the strongest racial value below 600 points, it will also perform well in singles point. Just from a purely tactical perspective, the configuration of skills and props for singles and doubles Metagross may be different point. However, during the intermission, you can change props, but you definitely won't have time to change skills. You can only choose Pokémon that have both odd and even numbers. As for Eminem's side, he has never played in doubles before. Picosy. This surprised many people who had guessed Biofrog or Super Armored Rhinoceros before. Huh. Picosy, you're not even playing doubles. How come you're playing singles? What are you doing? Are you here to act cute? I heard when Eminem appears at various crime scenes, he will bring a Jenga and a Pixie to help him destroy evidence. How did I hear it was Ghoststone and Pippi? Indeed, Picosy is more auxiliary in nature and generally plays more in doubles point. After Pippi appeared on the stage, he immediately put on a super dire expression, stretched out his short arms, hooked his hands and said, the world and the earth share the same longevity. Grandmaster Pi. Audience, I don't know how to fight it, but it's obvious that there's nothing cute about this Pixie. The extremely intelligent Metagross immediately understood what Pippi meant. After the referee said the game begins, he suddenly rushed towards Pixie. Look at the short arms and short legs of Pixie, and then look at the big iron arms of Magrombus and the rapid fluttering without using any legs. You will know that in battles other than skills, Pixie has some advantages. Can't even account for it. You have iron bumps on your brain and claws. Hey, little one, you can do it. Grandpa is here. Eat my enhanced punch. I saw that Picosy was extremely active on the field. In the fight outside of skills, he provoked Metagross in various ways, but, in fact, he was dodging around, and he would not fight it head on, if he could point, although he was at a disadvantage. But, after all, Pippi's level was higher than Oi's Metagross, so he didn't suffer any big losses. Even when the skills are ready, it's time to start first. Megrum can be faster. After all, its race value is much higher however. Because Pippi had been dodging around, he waited until the next moment, when Pippi also completed his skill preparations, and then Migromgro had the opportunity to attack, and Pippi actually looked like he was attacking. I saw Pippi's small fist, red fighting energy condensed, facing the Megrom's big head with shining metallic luster, and he punched it. It seems that the size and momentum of the two sides are completely disproportionate. But the result of the collision, there is no however, but it is the same as it looks with just a loud sound. Pippi flew back and hit the barrier hard. Chapter 355 Difficult Choice. Huh. Is this still a pixie with a tendency to attack physically? Pixie shouldn't be so aggressive, right? That's the steel type, Comet Fist, and it's the fairy type that can't be controlled. That's right. Even if the fighting types, Enhanced Fist, can stimulate a certain amount of physical attack, but, in such a head-on collision, Pippi will be hammered to death before his physical attack can be improved. Right. By the way, do you think this pickaxe's telepathy is a little too slippery? The audience clearly didn't understand Eminem's pixie or Eminem's choice of skills to compete. Although Eminem didn't give any direct instructions, everyone still acquiesced that he was secretly directing Point Pippi on the field. Although he suffered a loss, seemed to have no memory at this time, and continued to fight, and fight step by step. Seeing that I was sent flying by Comet Fist for the second time, another collision. Obviously Eminem's Picosy is still at a disadvantage. Principal Napoleon, what do you think? The host then handed the words to the guests. Well, although Enhanced Fist can stimulate a certain amount of physical attack, its power is too low. According to my visual inspection, it will take about the 5th time the two sides collide to be evenly matched, and Picosy. Haha, I'm afraid he won't be able to survive the 5th time. 4 encounters. So, when Eminem player starts Picosy, it's probably for the sake of exhaustion. It should be like this. After all, Eminem players now have a points advantage. Well, it's a very smart approach. In the commentary room, Napoleon analyzed Eminem's intentions indeed. Pippi was on the field at this time, using Enhanced Punch to collide with Oi's Metagross Comet Punch, which was not an advantageous thing. Comet Fist is a steel type punch move. It is not only the original type of Megromega, but it also restrains the fairy type of Pixie. Although it is called a fist for Megroma, its 4 brains are in 4 claws with a structure similar to the body of an iron dumbbell. The huge body or head in the middle can also be used to launch head type moves or fist type moves. How to use it depends on how you are used to fighting. Seeing Eminem's Pixie, he punched the 3rd time without giving up. Of course Oi's Metagross will not be afraid of it. Anyway, every time they encounter each other, he has the advantage, so continue to encounter them. Sure enough, Picosy flew back upside down again. Ah, you okay? Did you see that I have been strengthened 3 times? I will beat you to death next time. Pippi still keeps talking, but Metagross doesn't want to listen to it. Eminem has no command at all at this time. The individual situations of Pokémon are also different. With the personalities of Pippi and Ghoststone, there is no need for command at all. Unless there is something that really needs to be reminded, Eminem will interfere. In the midst of Pippi's mouth, the Metagross skills are ready again, despite what Pippi said. In fact, if it were still Enhanced Punch, Oi's Metagross would be able to take 3 punches from it without any problem, but Pippi would probably not be able to withstand this punch. Originally, Metagross thought that Pippi was really going to collide with him, so he didn't pursue the little opportunity to get his skills ready first. Instead, he pulled away a little bit, hoping that he really had to wait for Pippi to come into contact with him. Probably it has been determined that Pippi is here to fight and consume. However, at this moment, Pippi grinned. Metagross suddenly looked tense and instinctively felt that something was not good, but it was already too late. At this time, I saw Pippi putting on a seemingly unconscious hand gesture, as if he was really good at kung fu. But what is rippling throughout the body is ghost energy. At this time, a faint purple, more ferocious looking shadow of Pippi formed behind Pippi. As long as Pippi faints during this period, this purple figure will instantly pounce on the enemy attacking it, causing huge damage. This is Tangming. It's the ghost type. Tangming. How can Pikachu learn from Tangming? It should be imitate. It was Pikachu who used imitation to record. Same fate. Indeed, Eminem also has a Jenga, and Jenga will definitely share the same fate as this. A forced exchange of points, isn't the timing a bit too early? Shouldn't it be activated when we are about to be attacked? Probably, because it's not that precise yet. Not only were the audience talking a lot, but in the commentary room, Napoleon was also choked. But what Ollie is best at is thinking calmly. That's right. At this time, all you need to do is delay the same lifetime. Same life cannot be activated continuously or actively. Napoleon said at this time. I also praised Darway. But as soon as the Metagross stopped, Pippi immediately shouted, "Come on. This is my last key fist." The next moment, there was a faint purple figure fluttering behind Pippi, and a strong wave of fighting power burst out from his body. Point everyone. It is said to be come on, but because of the special nature of Zen Key Fist, there is still a long way to go from the beginning of preparation to the completion of preparation and release. Anyone who knows a little bit about Pokémon battles knows that this move has a long preparation phase. At the beginning of the preparation stage, it is necessary to activate it first when the skill slot is empty. This is why I just used same life and activated it immediately. However, after the overdraft of this first attack has been compensated, the activation stage is a later skill, which can only be used when the next skill is ready. In the preparation phase, as long as it is interfered by a strong enough attack, the preparation will be interrupted, and the skill will fail to activate. Therefore, although it is extremely powerful, it is rarely used. Arwelli was also confused at the time. Was this a fight or not? I'm afraid that the battle will end immediately, and my ace Migromgro will die together with an unknown pixie. You must know that Oi's fault tolerance only has one Pokémon. One Samu defeats two Pokémon. He has already lost point, and Pippi is naturally not idle at this time. You hit me. You hit me. I can no longer withstand one punch. If you can die with me, you deserve to die. Don't be afraid. The ghost stone behind will also have the same fate. The worst is to change it again. Ah. So your score is not enough. What a pity. Why don't you wait a little longer? But my little fists will blow your head off. Pippi continued to fill his ears with magic sounds, causing Oi and his Megrum to get entangled. Well, it is a confusing situation to begin with, and Arwei, who was born in September, is usually very easy to be indecisive. Chapter 356. Winning. Fight. Don't fight. Hit. Don't fight. Use iron wall. Oi stopped the Metagross who was about to attack, trying to stay calm. First point, the increased physical defense of iron wall has no resistance to the effect of Tangming, but it can at least weaken the damage of Zen Key Fist and delay it for a while. Point at the same time, Arwelli continued to think about how to arrange his tactics in the future. This move disrupted all his pre-planned plans. However, just when Pippi punched out, Ollie realized that he was wrong. I saw Pippi punching out, and the ghost behind him disappeared at the same time. Same life will become invalid after the user activates other skills, but this earth-shattering punch hit the Megrum. The huge and heavy Megrum flew out directly and hit the barrier hard, just like Pippi before. And the difference is, Metagross has lost its combat effectiveness. Player Ollie must change Pokémon as soon as possible. The referee announced. This is a Zen Key Fist that stimulates 3 stages of physical attack. Even the Metagross can't eat it. As for the iron wall, hey, I'm so simple. Is it normal to have a simple tray? Pippi said while picking her nostrils. Well, the pristine tray allows the Pokémon to ignore the opponent's increased defense, and its attacks can directly penetrate the incentive effect. Point 4 Pixie. Simplicity is the rarest attribute, and, obviously the name of this attribute has nothing to do with the Pokémon's personality. When his face turned green at this time. But he still gritted his teeth and immediately retracted the Megrum, and released the Meg monster at the same time. Point. Just by looking at its eyes, you can tell that this is another very smart Pokémon, Swamp Monster. When he just shouted point, I saw Pippi immediately making an unknown and powerful attack, and then, the ghost energy all over his body burst out, forming a ghost behind him. Well, Zen Key Fist is a later skill that is activated after the skill is ready again, but it is not an overload skill that consumes 2 skill slots. So, it is still in the skill ready state. Point. And because there is a Zen Key Fist between them, Tangming can be activated again. What are you doing? Why are you having the same fate consecutively? They are not having the same fate consecutively. How to fight this? A Tangming and Zen Key Fist infinitely connected. I see. That's what heaven and earth share the same longevity means. This Eminem is really talented. The audience couldn't help but talk a lot, and some trainers also began to think about what they should do now if they were Way. Point. In fact, only in the newcomer stage, such a chain will be a problem. Point. Among real veteran professional trainers, especially king level trainers, there are actually many solutions to such a chain, unless Pippi completely masters, awakens, and even combines Tangming and Zenki Fist. Only when it becomes a move can it be regarded as a troublesome trick. Point. But for Oi, now is a moment of life and death. Sure enough, after Eminem's Pixie activated the same life state and a ghost appeared behind him, violent fighting type fluctuations immediately bloomed on his body, which started a new round of preparation for Zenki Fist. Fortunately, Oi seemed to have calmed down a bit at this time. Even the face of giant swamp monster has calm written all over it. Point. Now he has no way out in the situation. If his swamp monster is replaced with Eminem's Pixie, then he will lose directly in terms of points, so he directly attacks in the same life state because he was not within his scope of consideration. Point. The two sides actually faced each other like this until Pippi's Zenki Fist is ready. Come on. This is my last Zenki Fist. Pippi worked tirelessly to add drama to himself. Point. I saw Pippi suddenly rushing towards Oi's Meg Monster. The speed of Meg Monster was not as fast as Meg Monster, and even not as fast as the high level Pippi, but at this time, his skills were ready. The moment Pippi punched, the Swampet's eyes became sharp. The next moment, water power surged around the giant swamp monster. At the same time, the giant swamp monster kicked off the ground with all its lower body and collided with the Pixie in front of it. Waterfall climbing. That's right, Oi's idea was to take advantage of the moment when Zenki Fist took effect and interrupted the effect of same life to use waterfall to attack him. Although the swamp monster is definitely more seriously injured, this Pixie has been severely consumed. Even if it does not lose the battle on the spot, its skills will be slightly regressed due to the coward effect of waterfall climbing. That is, you cannot use same fate immediately. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the swamp monster still has a chance to hammer it down. Point. But the timing must be mastered, and the moment when the two attacks collide is when the effect of same life has dissipated. Oi doesn't think the problem is big because waterfall climb does not restrain the fairy type, and the attack power of Metrogramus is not as good as Megrum. In all likelihood, it will not be able to kill this Pixie directly. The decisive moment is when the opponent cowards and cannot use same life again immediately. Hey. Pippi suddenly smiled evilly. Point. I saw two figures colliding with each other quickly, and one body suddenly tilted. Oi. At the critical moment, Pippi missed the target on purpose. The giant swamp monster climbed the waterfall and hit Pippi directly, while Pippi's earth-shattering Zenki Fist hit the empty space beside it, causing the giant swamp monster to the ground. Of the venue was slightly cracked under the impact, but an unobstructed waterfall climb hit Pixie directly. This is the last time After Pippi said the last word, he fell down with a handsome look on his face. But at this moment, the ghost pickaxe who had not completely retreated behind Pippi suddenly rushed out and pounced directly on the giant swamp monster. After swamp monster cried out in pain, the ghostly shadow disappeared. At the same time, the shadow of swamp monster seemed to be undergoing some invisible attack. After struggling for a while, swamp monster fell down helplessly. Come down, Picossi. Has lost his fighting power. Swamp monster has lost his fighting power. Eminem's player has accumulated 14 points and won the game. After looking at it, the referee announced directly. Well, this die together move is based on the rules. Eminem's Pokémon loses combat effectiveness first. If this is the final decider, then swamp monster falls last and can be declared the winner. But now Eminem has a points advantage. Regardless of whether Pippi falls or not, as long as the swampert falls, Eminem's points will be enough. Regarding this result, the audience was stunned for a moment and did not even immediately respond with applause and cheers as usual, except Eminem. Invincible. Bullshit. Nuances. Shouting was particularly obvious at this time. Chapter 357 Drawing Lots. In the quiet auditorium, Yuanzi's shouts suddenly became harsh. However, Yuanzi was still unconscious and still screaming, as if he was celebrating some wonderful victory. Xiaolan on the side, aware of the surrounding atmosphere, quietly pulled Yuanzi and pushed her back. But just after the referee made the announcement, another auditorium burst into cheers. Eminem, 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 victory, victory, victory. Looking over, I found it's a group of big guys. It's the members of the QB team. They had also arrived in Quartz City for the upcoming league high school football basketball tournament. Since their flight was this morning, they had not had time to tell Eminem before. They are not trainers. Although they can see that Eminem has always been dominant, but it was not until the referee announced that he could celebrate boldly. Eminem originally wanted to leave directly, but when she heard the voices of Yuanzi and the QB team, in order not to embarrass her, Eminem acted like a gentleman and bowed to everyone, thanking everyone for their applause. Well, as long as you are not embarrassed, others will be embarrassed. Seeing Eminem's very enthusiastic applause look, the audience had no choice but to clap sparingly out of embarrassment. Although Eminem was not a clean sheet opponent, he did solve the problem very quickly. It was less than 250. In the next two duels, the gap will only become wider. Many spectators have already regretted it. If they had known better, they would not have rushed to eat the high-priced box lunches in the arena, and the show would have ended soon. This is indeed the case. Not to mention the Academy selection contestants who appeared in the next two games were only 7th and 8th. Even if the first and second place were replaced, the result would not be much different. Xiaolang and Beijia quickly eliminated their opponents. When all the games ended in the afternoon, it was less than 3:30, which was completely opposite to the intensity of the morning. In the end, the top 8 are announced, and in theory, only one academic player can be shortlisted. Napoleon was almost at a loss for words. When Badger appeared on the stage, he completely surrendered to the enemy. He never mentioned Badger's opponent, but only introduced that Badger was also an outstanding student of Didon College. Except for the graduation exam, he is the first in his age. Fortunately, he didn't know about wizards. Otherwise Eminem would probably say that Little Wolf was an outstanding student of Hogwarts Academy when he appeared on the stage. To the audience at the scene and in front of the TV, now all the top 8 players in our Kanto Regional League 200 rookie competition have been produced. Let us once again applaud these new generation trainers. Tomorrow morning, the following will be held: the draw of the schedule. At this time, all 8 top 8 contestants, including Eminem, came on stage and accepted everyone's applause. Anamichi confirmed to Ryoko at this time. Ryoko, the draw for our basketball game will be tomorrow afternoon, right? Yes, you can ask Eminem to come over then. Ryoko said, if he smokes well in the morning, let him come here to celebrate. If he smokes poorly, let him stay away. Ushao added at this time, don't worry. We are 48-16. As long as we don't draw the strongest ones in the group, there will be no problem. Ryoko looked very confident. After the game, Eminem also met with the members of the QB team. Why? Didn't you tell me when you got to Quartz City? We are also flying this morning, and here, the luggage is still there. Ryoko said, pointing to the big guys behind who were carrying luggage. Coach, Anxie isn't here? Eminem didn't see Anxie. Grandpa, you don't have to travel hard, just leave all the power to me. Ryoko said matter-of-factly, and then asked, which hotel are you staying in? Quartz Hotel, because the Suzuki family, as a large local group in the Kanto region, had settled in Quartz City very early. The name Quartz Hotel was taken by the Suzuki family. Farewell. Ryoko said decisively. Of course she knew about the Quartz Hotel. Considering the price and the budget given by the school, Ryoko decided not to make do with Eminem and let him rush to the stadium by himself. Hey, are you from the Cuba Academy? Yuanzi walked over at this time, her voice still a little hoarse. When she spoke, once Zyraksha won, and once Eminem won, she shouted so much it's just that everyone was applauding Zyraksha that time, so Yuanzi's voice was buried a lot, and that time with Eminem. Yuanzi still remembers that these should be the people who were shouting with him at that time. You haven't found a hotel yet? Come to Quartz Hotel. I'll apply for a friendly price for you. Yuanzi was very enthusiastic about these only accompaniments. Ryoko was still a little uneasy. After all, the price of friendship shouldn't be too. At this time, the driver waiting outside came over and said, Miss Yuanzi, Madam wants you to look at the illustrated book. Maybe. Sonoko was too high just now and didn't see Tomoko's phone call. Oh, okay. By the way, you talk to the manager of the Quartz Hotel and make arrangements for the Cuba team's accommodation and travel to and from the stadium. Yuanzi said, taking out the illustrated book and looking at it, and saw the one on it from my mother. Missed. His expression froze for a moment. Well, the friendship price Yuanzi mentioned is the real friendship price. Don't make you embarrassed and destroy our friendship because it is too low. The kind of friendship price. That night, Eminem and Zyraksha naturally celebrated. Both of them successfully advanced. Originally Eminem wanted to call Zyraksha, but he went to the hospital to find Zyraksha. Tomorrow morning's draw will be much more ritualistic than the computer random draw during the qualifiers. I have to draw in person, Eminem said with emotion, after reading the reminder email sent by the competition. After all, it's fairest to actually draw it yourself. Zyraksha said matter-of-factly. At that time, there will be king level Pokémon supervising the notarization, and there will be basically no room for the various special abilities to be used, but this is good for lucky people. Eminem said nitpickingly. Yes, the good luck of some trainers is already an ability. Pokémon such as Meowth and GP are also considered to have a good luck bonus. You don't have confidence in your luck, do you? Why don't you let Zyraksha draw for you? Yuanzi asked deliberately and provocatively. No need. Do you know, Eternal Flame, Phoenix King, is also a symbol of good luck. Eminem looked very confident and touched his hair and said, more importantly, I don't want to meet. There are only two people, Badger and Zyraksha, or even only Badger alone. So for me, there is no luck. Eminem didn't believe it. Could he draw Badger directly in the first round? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358. Is this reasonable? On the morning of September 2nd, Eminem and Zyraksha arrived at the lottery site on time. There is no game today, but we have to draw lots for the following schedule. In the subsequent competitions, there will be no competition between travel groups and academic groups. The top 8 players will compete in a completely random elimination system to determine the top 4, champion and runner-up. Zyro ZHI. How is Zyro? Eminem saw that Zyro ZHI was there. Well, nothing happened anymore. Zyrozi was full of fighting spirit at this time and specifically said, let me beat a powerful opponent. Hahaha, slim. Shady. Seeing this, Zyraksha couldn't help but said, well, don't you know? We drew lots in the reverse order of the previous round. I know. What's wrong? Zyossi didn't realize the problem yet. So, you are the last one. Zyosha rolled her eyes. That's right. So after I draw the number, I can immediately know which of you my opponent is. Ha ha ha. Zyossi answered very smartly. Eminem. Zyosha. Zyossi, there are 8 numbers in total, and you are the last one to draw. Do you think you still need to draw? Eminem couldn't help but interrupt. Zyossi was stunned when he heard this. After about 3 seconds, he finally realized, then I have no chance to draw lots at all. The other players who had arrived around turned their heads at this time, probably because they felt that this guy had lowered his level of qualification for the top 8. Only Badgie came over with a gentle smile at this time and said, Zyosshi, if you want to draw lots so much, you can draw them for me later. Is it okay? Isn't this bad? Zyossi had an expression like I really want to draw lots. Hahaha, of course. Badgie was also a little helpless by his reaction. Then, leave it to me. I will definitely give you a satisfactory opponent. Zyossi said enthusiastically. Boring. Zyossi curled his lips and said soon Boss Sakaki walked in. Boss Sakaki? Eminem looked at Sakaki in surprise. Hahaha, I'm very happy today. I saw the best newcomer in our Kanto region. I will preside over the drawing ceremony later. Boss Sakaki. No, the owner of the hall is hosting it seriously. Upon seeing this, Eminem whispered to Zyosha, it seems that he is getting closer and closer to the Kanto champion. Zyosha looked like she wasn't interested in him. After all, Zyosha already knew that his true identity, and even his identity as boss of Team Rocket, was now sinking deeper and deeper. Although not everyone knows about it yet, there are already some rumors, and the final preparations are obviously being made. There were only reporters, and no audience at the lottery ceremony, and Sakaki didn't say too much, so as not to offend people. The numbers in this lottery are 1 to 8, and the competition is in this order. Let's start with Badgie. Come up and draw lots. The projection behind Sakaki showed the promotion order of 1, 8. That is, the most common ones are 1 vs 2, 3 vs 4. After that, the winner will go to the semi-finals with the next 1 point. Sakaki was now holding the box himself. I'll do it. I'll do it. Leave Badgie to me. Zyossi shouted without fear. Seeing this, Sakaki said without changing his expression, really? Come on then. Pika. Pikachu was on Zyossi's shoulder at this time, and seemed to have some reaction to the 2 guards standing at the door, but Zyossi didn't pay attention. Eminem looked at it. I found out that these are Musashi and Kuchiro. I only met the 2 of them once during the pharmacist's assessment. That's all. Zyossi didn't even recognize it. Isn't this just changing the clothes of a guard and wearing sunglasses? These 2 guys are really the big back door. Not only are they responsible for the on-site security work at this time, they can brush their faces with Sakaki, but they also seem to be doing nothing at ordinary times. I enjoy catching yellow mice all day long. It's number 3. Zyossi showed Sakaki the lottery at this time, and he almost got angry in Sakaki's face. Zyossi should be one of the few among the top 8 players who doesn't know Sakaki's other identity, and only thinks of him as Sakaki's gym leader. Haha, I got it. Sakaki felt a little uncomfortable. The position of number 3 on the projection showed the name Badgie. Suddenly everyone else was hoping that they would not be in the top half. Then Zyossi also stepped forward. At this time, he was dressed in casual clothes. He came to Sakaki, nodded to him, and began to draw lots. After Zyossi looked at the results, he gave them directly to the staff operating the projection computer. Sakaki, are all young people today so rude? I saw Zyossi name appearing in the position of number 2. It seems that the first half of the competition has become even more hell. Eminem stepped forward at this time. Of course Sakaki still remembered him and said specifically, come on, Dr. Jumu has high hopes for you. Eminem blinked at him. Since we are so familiar with each other, can we go through the back door? Seeing that Sakaki's expression did not change, Eminem had no choice but to smoke normally. I hope it's not in the first half. Boss Sakaki, can you change it quietly? Eminem said, opening the lottery, and found it was number 4. Are you going to meet Badger in the first round? There were 7 opponents in total, and the one Eminem didn't want to face the most was Badger. The result, is this reasonable? Can't. Sakaki squeezed out 2 words through his teeth without changing his smile point seeing Eminem's name appear in position 4. Many players exclaimed, the 3 recognized strongest people are all in the first half of the competition. Haha. How about it? Let me just say that I can draw a powerful opponent, right? Zyos he asked Badgie to take credit. Picker. Pikachu reminded Ash on his shoulder. Eminem was glaring at him point afterwards. Zyomeo drew number 7. Zyaksha drew number 5. And 2 passers-by drew numbers 1 and 6. The one who drew number 1 turned pale on the spot point as for Zyossi. There is no need to draw. He is only left with number 8, which is when he meets his first generation nemesis Zyomao in the first round. Zyossi immediately looked full of fighting spirit, looking forward to tomorrow's showdown. Are you serious this time? Badgie came over at this time and took the initiative to extend his hand to Eminem. Eminem shook hands with him politely and said, I was also very serious last time. At this point, Eminem could only adjust his mood and prepare for tomorrow's battle. However, not long after the draw ended, Sakaki emphasized the time of the duel, and when Eminem just walked out of the draw, Ryoko called, hello, Eminem. Remember to come to the Quartz football basketball stadium in the afternoon. I saw your lottery results online. I think character is conserved. You can draw again in the afternoon. Hello. Chapter 359 Conservation of Character? Hahaha. I saw the results of your lottery. What do you think? I just asked Zyallen to draw for you, right? Eminem had just left the lottery site, and Yuanzi already knew what the results looked like without opening a word. Apparently the results of the lottery had been announced in real time. This is unreasonable. I obviously have eternal flame. Eminem looked depressed. Conan whispered to the side at this time. Ah, brother Eminem, did you inherit the eternal flame from Uchiha Madara, Slim Shady? Only then did Eminem realize that the symbol of Hao's divine power had the connotation of good luck, but the eternal flame used by Madara Uchiha also had the ability of good luck. This is probably like a walnut squeezed by a door. It's hard to say whether it can still replenish the brain. By the way, why are you here? Did you cause trouble for Uncle Kagoro and was driven here? Eminem asked angrily. Conan, by the way, are you still going to the draw for the high school basketball cup this afternoon? Yuanzi asked curiously. Of course, maybe, character is conserved. Eminem said through gritted teeth. PFFT, cough, brother Eminem is right. Conan said, I'm a child. Zyallen looked a little absent-minded at this time. Eminem rolled his eyes and immediately said, you guys are going to, right? Maybe Shinichi will be there too. How is it possible? He hasn't trained at all. Haha. Zyallen said, trying to hide the truth. Theoretically, Shinichi should not be in Quartz City, but after all, Shinichi likes football basketball very much. Although he is not a member of the Didn't school team, but maybe he will go and check it out. Conan immediately glared at Eminem. I don't want to pick up the pot, right? Yuanzi immediately said from the side. Of course we have to go and take a look. There are many handsome guys in the football team. If we can't do it, we will ignore that reasoning madman. Yuanzi. Zyallen also knew she was joking. Speaking of which, Didn't High School is also a strong team in football and basketball, right? Eminem suddenly remembered. As a Pokémon school, Didn't High School should also be very strong in participating in the football basketball cup. Of course, Didn't has been the top team in the Rainbow City division for 10 years since the school was founded. Last year, in the high school basketball cup final, it beat the runner-up Nanyang High School by 20 points. Yuanzi said immediately. Eminem felt a little ashamed. As a foreign player who was going to compete, he didn't know much about this. Yuanzi and Zyallen were originally planning to go to the draw of the football basketball cup. After all, their classmates and seniors were also participating in the competition. Although I have been taking online classes for a year due to the reform of the Didn't teaching system, and I'm not familiar with my classmates at all, I still met them during the exam and communicated online. Zyaksha didn't come with us, but was going to the battle club for special training. Before, she laughed at Eminem for sharpening her guns in battle. but now she is also having fun. But Eminem also understands that at this point, Zylaksha definitely doesn't want to lose point. Although it was impossible to improve her physical strength in just one afternoon, now that she knew her opponent, Zylaksha could train in a targeted manner. On the contrary, Eminem has nothing to grind now. When facing Badger, Eminem has already practiced countless times how to win in a dangerous situation. Arriving at the draw for the high school basketball cup, Ryoko immediately greeted Amu and others, but after Xiaolan and Yuanzi greeted her, they left first to find Didan's team. It turns out they are students of Emperor Dan. Even Ryoko, who is usually carefree, sounded a little solemn when she mentioned Tidan High School. "Ah, they so strong? How can they compare with us?" Amu asked curiously. "Probably, it's the difference between you and Badger," Ryoko continued to say solemnly. Slim Shady. "Ryoko, don't say such depressing words," Hanamichi said immediately from the side. Slim Shady. "It means it's not that we can't win, but we just don't want to meet him right away, right?" Eminem confirmed at this time. Everyone in the QB team looked over in surprise. Ahem. This is indeed the case with Didan High School. Gang Zion asked tentatively. "Captain, you don't need to stress. I did the same with Badger." Eminem glared at the gorilla. Co-author, "You all thought I couldn't win before, right? Tomorrow will open your eyes. But Didan is really strong. Not only do they have mature second year and third year players who shined last year, but the newly added Mikio this year has also strengthened their inside strength," Ryoko said. She said seriously, "Well, fortunately, that Shinichi seems to have not appeared much in the past 6 months due to something. He probably won't participate in the competition, otherwise it will be more difficult to deal with." Ayako said other information on the side. "Shinichi? Huh." Ryota heard KZ say this, and became a little dissatisfied and angry. At this moment, Eminem remembered that Conan had also gone there with Xiaolan, Yuanzi and the others. "Don't worry, what if there is a gift from God?" Eminem thought in his mind. Maybe Conan would stop them all. Soon the teams and their entourage entered the venue, which was much more lively than the previous lottery draw for the rookie competition. There were only 8 contestants in the rookie competition, sitting in a large classroom, which looked very empty. And now there are 48 teams here. Each team, including the main players, candidates, coaching staff, managers, back boys, all have a lot of people. At this time, they are directly in the football basketball arena. Make a draw. At this time, Eminem discovered that boss Sakaki was also rushing over. This guy really made fun of young people everywhere, because there were so many people. Sakaki spoke a lot this time, and then the drawing of lots began. Let's start with the teams from the Rainbow Division, followed by the Deadleaf Division. Eminem looked at the groupings on the big screen, and discovered that in this national competition, 3 teams would first compete in a round-robin competition to determine which one would reach the top 16. Soon the name of QB High School was read, and Ryoko and others immediately shouted, "Go, go, keep your character." Although Ushao feels that character is fixed, the theory of conservation of character prevails in the team. Eminem also saw that they just wanted to make fun of his previous luck. So at this time he walked forward with great pride. Sakaki couldn't help but be startled when he saw Eminem. "Why is it you again, Sakaki? Master, I hope you won't cheat me this time." Eminem threw the pot on Sakaki. Sakaki, the QB team was all staring nervously at the big screen at this time. Due to the size of the venue, it was impossible for them to see the lottery results directly. They could only see the results through the big screen, accompanied by a burst of BGM. I saw Kubenga's name appeared in the same group as Didan. Chapter 360. Before the war, Dirty Hands. The hot favorites gathered in the first half of the competition, so he did this after the rookie competition. Shocked, the Eminem contestant actually got into this situation with Hall Master Sakaki because of the draw. As soon as the lottery results of the rookie competition came out, all major platforms reported on it. In addition, although the high school football basketball league does not attract as much attention as the rookie game, there are still many follow-up reports, which naturally leads to Eminem's other participating identity. Andy also Discovered that this guy's really evil. I drew a lots for myself and got a badge. I drew a lots for QB high school and got did in high school, as expected of a poison type trainer. His hands are simply poisonous. In addition, of course there is no gift from God, and Eminem also forgot that is the new one high school classmate. Scientifically speaking, it has a protective effect after being drawn to QB high school and didn't high school. Eminem also fell into deep thought. Could it be that Boss Sakaki doesn't get along with me, or is Eternal Flame because it was used by Madara Uchiha, so it has the opposite effect now? Don't be discouraged, everyone. Just fight how you want to fight. Just practice hard these days. Ryuko encouraged everyone at this time. By the way, he looked at Eminem, who was still immersed in the blow, and then said, Eminem and Coffin don't need to train now. Prepare for your own game tomorrow. Then, Slim Shady, no, my schedule doesn't necessarily end tomorrow. Eminem emphasized quickly. At this moment, Ryuko, who had been looking at the website, said, tomorrow's venues are out. Congratulations, the second round of the rookie competition is all grass-based venues. After hearing this, Eminem suddenly felt less stressed. There will be random venues for the subsequent games. Are you focusing on singles or doubles? Eminem asked quickly. In Kanto's rookie competition, doubles and singles are randomly emphasized. Of course, the so-called emphasis only refers to whether the winner of the singles or the doubles wins. When the score is tied at 11-11. If the focus is on singles, the doubles match will be played first. If the focus is on doubles, the singles match will be played first. This is also for better viewing effects. It is not a complete standard rule. Otherwise it should be double first and double small score priority. After all, singles has 1 point more than double. After all, this is a rookie competition, so it would be more fun and exciting. Just like in Eminem vs. Arway, the opponent will not despair earlier, hoping to win by a small score after a 11-11 fight. The previous first round games focused on singles. Eminem hopes it will be the same this time. Pity focus on doubles. This round of the quarterfinals is all about doubles. Ryuko said at this time, we have to play singles first. Eminem grinned after hearing this. His error tolerance rate was invisibly smaller. After drawing an eye-catching lottery for the QB team, Eminem also prepared for the next day's game. The main thing is mental preparation. I also did some psychological construction for the 6 Pokémon that were going to appear, reminding them of the key points for tomorrow, especially the first 2 Pokémon that were going to appear. If the 2 of them succeed, then 80% of the victory is won. On the contrary, if the strategy fails, then 99% of the result is a loss. Although Yuanzi saw Eminem as a joke on the surface, she was actually helping him lower his blood pressure and did not bother Eminem to prepare for the war at night. Sister King Mui called Eminem after dinner and said that she had seen his lottery results. She didn't know anything about the trainer, but she could tell from some online analysis that Eminem was not favored this round. However, Sister King Mui still encouraged Eminem. Even if she begged her grandma, she would have to wait until September 5th to go to Quartz City. Because according to what Grandma Rexy said, if you don't reach the semifinals, don't stand out. Well, in fact, Grandma Rexy also asked Dr. Oki and knew that Eminem had many strong opponents this time, so she relaxed the decision to go to the semifinals. Otherwise, she would only go in the finals. At around 10 o'clock in the evening, when Eminem finished writing his diary and was about to go to bed early, there was a sudden knock on the door. Amu stood up and opened the door in confusion, only to find that it was Yuanzi. What's wrong? Amu looked at Yuanzi in confusion. Tomorrow is the key match. I have something good for you, Yuanzi said, showing a victory smile, as if he wanted to take credit. Before Eminem could react, Yuanzi had already thrust a small box into Eminem's hand. Before Eminem could weigh what was inside, Yuanzi had already waved his hand and said, go to bed early and work hard tomorrow. I won't take you for supper. Bye. As soon as Amu was about to stop, she turned around and left. Eminem also curiously opened the box and looked at it and found inside is a purple black mega stone. Not only was it very ghostly, but when Eminem looked inside, he could vaguely see runes that looked like I's Mega Jenga evolution stone. Eminem recognized the type of mega stone point. It's really a gift that I can't refuse. It must have been found recently by the Suzuki group. Sonoko must have taken this when she disappeared before, and I can't rest anymore. Eminem muttered point, then he called out the two most important Pokémon that will be starting tomorrow. There is no need to go to the battle club, they just need to adapt to the new form. This just-in-time Mega Jenga Evolution Stone has no impact on Eminem's tactics tomorrow. It just adds a crucial fault tolerance. September 3rd point, the quarterfinals of the Kanto region rookie competition begin. Different from the rushing in the first round where the previous game ends, the venue is quickly restored, and the next game is immediately played. According to the schedule, the first game is at 8 am, the second game is at 10 am, and the third game is at 2 pm. Game 4 at 4 o'clock. The time is fixed point. Generally speaking, the entire game won't take as long as 2 hours, especially for new trainers, and it's no longer a joint ticket. Tickets for the 4 games are sold separately. Different commentators were also invited for the 4 games, which was obviously more formal point. In the first game, the players who drew numbers 1 and 2, Xiaolang and another passerby who Eminem was not very familiar with. Eminem really knows the guest commentator. It's Arju, who we met once at Fujian Mountain before, a dignified official gym, and the owner of one of the 8 major gymnasiums. This commentator's status as a guest commentator can be said to be a direct improvement compared to the previous vice principal Napoleon point. In addition to the fact that the quarterfinals are more valuable, Eminem is probably also a hidden leader of the Rockets, trying to gain popularity. The guest commentator was not announced in advance because he wanted to have a sense of surprise. Eminem was also wondering whether Nazi would appear later. Chapter 361 first release. Even though Aju mainly attacks the poison system, with his style as a great king level trainer, he is certainly in a good position to explain this kind of newcomer competition point. Even if Xiaolang is a wizard type trainer, Aju can use the same scientific perspective as approaching science to briefly and clearly analyze his operations for the audience. Of course, Amu, who also knew some of Xiaolang's methods, could tell that the owner of the Aju club obviously knew about the wizard. The reason why he explained it in a simple way was to keep it secret from the public. This was an agreement between the Alliance's top management and the wizard. And there's actually nothing wrong with Arju's explanation. It's alright in principle, it's just that in terms of the means of implementation, there is no point that it is magic point. But Arju was destined not to work overtime today. Before 8:40, Xiaolang ended the battle. Eminem estimates that this is both Xiaolang's strength and weakness. He has strong explosive power, but it is difficult to fight for a long time. The audience in the first game felt that they had lost money. The tickets had been sold before the lottery was drawn, and the audience did not know who they were buying against. Yesterday at noon, as soon as the lottery results came out, the price of scalper tickets for the first game began to plummet, while the price for the second game skyrocketed, almost 5 times that of the first game. Because Xiaolang's game ended too quickly, Eminem was a little idle in the player preparation room. You a little nervous? Xiaolang asked worriedly. No. Eminem said matter-of-factly. In 5 minutes, you have already drank water several times. Xiaolang pointed out. No, I'm just thirsty, and it's my cup. Xiaolang emphasized again. Slim Shady. Finally, a long time passed, and soon the host's voice sounded on the radio. Let us invite a commentator for the second game. That is our Rainbow Gym leader, one of the Kanto gym leaders, a Namaru gym leader, Eminem. And Xiaolang frowned. It was another old friend, and she was also Lexia's mother, and the daughter of Grandma Leixi, because Lexia ran away from home. No, after starting to live independently, she joined the mom class, so to a certain extent, Eminem poached her from Grandma Ika's point of view. Hanamaru ran away from home. No, after he started living independently, he and his mother had a very serious dispute. Obviously, he was not cold to Eminem, a godnephew who appeared out of thin air. Fortunately, the commentary guests and the like do not affect the battle situation point. But after the host brought the topic to result prediction, don't expect her to have anything good to say. Eminem is very professional as a pharmacist, but as a trainer, well, among the average young players, he's pretty good. There are indeed many objective factors. It can be said that the Badgie players have some advantages, but this is also part of their strength, isn't it? If there weren't so many objective factors, Eminem wouldn't be an expert pharmacist, right? The venue is indeed slightly favorable for Eminem players, but Eminem players are not purely grass type trainers, and Badger also has Yeeb. More importantly, this advantage cannot even out the strength gap between the two sides. In fact, it is not just a matter of personal grudges. Indeed, to be fair, it is also true. Hanamaru Hall's prediction for the game was the same as most people's. The reason for mentioning Eminem's objective factors in being a pharmacist is obviously referring to Grandma Ike's teachings and the like. Eminem is not prepared to deny this. Indeed, without Grandma Leixi, even if he had the power of God's path, he would not be able to be so successful as a pharmacist. Then the time was almost up, and the host also invited the contestants from both sides. Eminem and Badgie shook hands first in the field as usual, and the green grass field was also decorated at this time. Today should be a very exciting game. Badgie still smiled gently. I hope so. Eminem became calmer when walking in the venue. Eminem also felt a little more about the feeling of a green grass venue, although green grass field will weaken the power of earthquake. In general, it is a good thing for Eminem. The point is not the bonus to grass type skills, but Badgie player versus Amu player. Standard singles rules points match. Both sides please send out the starting Pokémon. Under the referee's announcement, Eminem and Badgie released their Pokémon at the same time. I saw a fiery red figure on Badgie's side, with a fiery red body and a fluffy golden tail, showing its identity, Fire Ibrahimovic, and what Eminem sent out at this time was a purple figure. At first glance, it looks like Jenga, and indeed Jenga is also one of Eminem's trump cards. But, if you look a little closer, you will find that there is something wrong with this Jenga point. Not only is the body less round and more sharp and spiky, but the originally short tail has also become full of spikes, and the hands have become larger and sharper. More importantly, the body and hands were slightly integrated into the shadow at this time. Because of the connection with the shadow space, the connection point in the lower half was faintly red under the effect of space optics. At the same time, a third eye also grew on his forehead. It's just bean eyes. All three have bean eyes. That's right. If you look more carefully, you will find that this is the Jenga turned into Mega Jenga. To be precise, it is Mega Jenga point from the fact that it appears in Mega form. It can also be seen that it is a card captor. The card captor can directly transform into a Mega form without even using a Mega Stone point. However, it is not only difficult to learn to directly transform into a Mega form, but it is also very energy consuming and difficult to last point. Although Eminem just got the Mega Jenga Evolution Stone last night, luckily Coffin was able to transform into Jenga before. Eminem also used animal senses to repeatedly adjust the feelings of Ghost Stone and Coffin. Only today just successfully used it on the field. Shi Lang, who was watching the live broadcast in Rainbow City, was also a little surprised at this time. Huh? Didn't he just send the Mega Jenga Evolution Stone to the garden last night? How come his variety monster can already change now? Others don't know, but Shirao certainly knows how efficient Eminem is. Seeing that his wife didn't respond, Shirao turned around and saw that Tomoko had an interested expression on his face. He couldn't help but smile. He saw that his wife had discovered an interesting target point on the field. Badger also became a little excited at this time. This is the right thing. Are you finally serious? Badger didn't think that Eminem was serious when they met in the qualifiers before, especially he didn't know that Eminem had just obtained the Mega Jenga Evolution Stone not long ago and would only treat it as him. I hid my strength before. Chapter 362 Blood Loss. The starting Pokémon of both sides have come out. Player Eminem's side is Dickard. It's actually a Dickard that directly transforms into a Mega form. But it didn't go directly to the real Jenga. I don't know what's so special about it. The tactical arrangement, and the Badger player is actually not Leibu, who is suitable for the grass court, but Fire Ibu? Master Hanamaru, what do you think? The host saw something wrong and handed it to Hanamaru. It's a wise choice. Even if Leibu plays now, he will still be restrained by poison type skills. As for the grass field, although the grass type energy is abundant and the grass type skills have been strengthened, as long as Eminem sends out poison type Pokémon, it does nothing at all. On the contrary, Fire EV's own skills restrain the grass type, and the ground type, which is its own weakness, is also weakened by the field. After Hanamaru's explanation, everyone understood that Badger's Fire EV was a basic move, and not a special move point. A green grass field is not simply planted with grass, but a place with rich grass energy point. Not only will it strengthen grass type skills, but because of the nature of grass type itself, the physical recovery speed of Pokémon in the field will be increased. However, because the power of the grass system is too strong. In the green grass field, earthquake, magnitude, heavy stomp, these skills that rely too much on surface earth fluctuations will be weakened. Hanamaru's explanation of Badger's first fire Ibrahimovic was spot on. As for Eminem, there must be something going on, but no one knows what it is going to do yet. After all, in terms of hard power, Badger's Ibrahimovics have too great a level advantage. If Eminem wants to win, he can only use unexpected moves. This is not a qualifier. There is no point in competing for small points. As soon as the game started, Mega Jenga suddenly plunged into the ground and turned into a shadow, moving on the ground like a pool of ink. Jenga in Mega form will be more sensitive to and more compatible with the shadow space point, although it is impossible to completely leave the main space and sneak into the shadow space like when launching the surprise attack. It can still integrate part of the body into it at all times, giving it more powerful power. Fire EV has the highest physical attack among the EV family, and is also particularly ferocious in battles other than skills. I saw that the golden mane on its neck and tail seemed to be really burning. As it killed, the fire energy vibrated. Mega Jenga can only avoid it for the moment. In fact, in terms of race value, the Mega Evolved Jenga has a race value of 600, which is comparable to that of a quasi-god. Of course, it is worthy of EV, but there is a level gap of more than 10 levels between the two. If it's a real Mega Jenga, it's not impossible to fight. But Eminem is transformed into a variable monster, and his physical strength is very problematic. This is thanks to Coffin's special training in physical strength. Otherwise he would not dare to directly let it transform into Mega form. Therefore, Eminem did not dare to confront someone head on at this time, but in terms of skill readiness speed, Mega Jenga is naturally much faster. At this time, the red light at the junction of Mega Jenga and Shadow Space seemed to be more obvious. Badger's expression was fixed, and he had obviously judged something. Mega Jenga skills are ready. Although Mega Jenga is definitely faster than Fire EV, but to be so fast, he should be wearing a scarf. Hanamaru judged in the commentary room at this time. Before Hanamaru finished speaking, a PI suddenly appeared in the shadow behind Fire EV, and then two more PIs below, and then the entire Mega Jenga suddenly came out. However, at this moment, Fire EV was enveloped by an invisible barrier. The ghost hand of Mega Jenga reached out to Fire EV, but was blocked. Its hold. Player Badger's reaction was very timely, but Hanamaru Hallmaster, usually in a battle, it is not very advantageous for the slower side to use hold right. Obviously Fire Ibrahimovic doesn't in a low physical state. The host asked with some confusion at this time. Fire EV's skill accumulation speed is much slower, but hold can be overdrawn, but it cannot be used continuously. Well, generally speaking, that's the case, but you have to know that the physical strength of Eminem's variety monster is very precious now, and Fire EV is also very strong in addition to skills. Hanamaru explained Badger's intention. Indeed, if you continue to procrastinate, the variety monster may be exhausted. After all, the cost of directly changing to the Mega form is not as high as usual, and the physical strength of the variety monster is already low, and will not change easily. Increased by transformation. Eminem shook his eyes slightly at this time, but he was not too disappointed, because Fire EV overdrawn his skills once. Soon Coffin's skill was ready again. This time, Fire EV could no longer hold. Instead, his whole body's mane shone brightly, and he was obviously at full power, ready to block Mega Jenga's attack this time. Although Fire Eevee is also very flexible, Mega Jenga is too elusive, and Badgie doesn't even dare to think that he can directly dodge its attack. At this moment, the shadow of Fire Eevee that had faded under the firelight suddenly became richer than the light, and then a ghost hand stretched out from it, with some weird power. As soon as Fire Eevee grabbed it, he shrank back. Coffin. Either. Coffin seemed to be slightly burned, but Fire Eevee also shook. Huh. What kind of attack is this? The host asked Hanamaru again. Point to say it was an attack. The impact would be a bit small, but Fire Eevee did shake, and then the flames on its body became smaller. This should be thief. No, it's trick. Hanamaru also hesitated for a moment before finally confirming. Trick. The host was stunned when he heard this. Yes, the flames are affected because the charcoal originally carried by Badge's Fire Eevee has been replaced. Hanamaru said with certainty. That is to say, now the Scarf Conscious has been replaced by Fire Ibrahimovic. The host still didn't understand. This wave, is Eminem really making money? The difference from thief is that trick will also exchange its own prop effects for the opponent point because of the acceleration effect of attention to Scarf. Fire Eevee was not trapped, and the skill was quickly ready. The flames all over its body were seen, and its speed was much faster. It slammed into Mega Jenga at lightning speed. It directly knocked Mega Jenga's whole body out of the shadow space, and it was smashed into a puddle and turned pink. Point upon seeing this, the referee announced, the variety monster has lost its combat effectiveness. Player Amu, please change the Pokémon immediately. The audience was also talking a lot at this time. This seemingly powerful variable monster seemed to have done nothing after coming up. Just replace the item of Fire Eevee with a scarf. Is Eminem losing blood this time? However, Eminem looked normal at this time and muttered in a low voice, well done. The first step is completed. Immediately after taking back the coffin, what appeared on the spot was a real Jenga point, and I saw Eminem raise his wrist, and suddenly the keystone and the Mega Evolution stone on the forehead of Jenga complemented each other. The next moment, Jenga glowed with the brilliance of evolution. The body was the same as the Mega Jenga just now. However, the eyes have real scarlet pupils and a golden third round pupil. Chapter 363. The rhythm begins. What are you doing? Isn't this gap too big? That Mega Jenga. No, it was the variety monster that came up, and it didn't cause any harm to Fire Eevee at all, didn't. You say that Eminem is also very strong. Indeed, when we played against the Academy in the last round, we looked very strong. Maybe Badger is too strong. Regarding Eminem's unfavorable start, the audience also started to discuss heatedly. It's not surprising that Eminem was knocked down by a Pokémon first, but this pouring is worthless. However, Eminem didn't seem to be frustrated at this time, and directly sent out the real Jenga, and Mega evolved on the spot. Little one, I'm here to teach you how to be a human being. No, how to be an Eevee ghost. Ghost Stone started shouting as soon as he appeared. However, as everyone saw, the subsequent behavior of this Jenga was completely opposite to the clamoring attitude. Instead, like the previous variable monster, it was also avoiding Udao. Ordinarily, with Ghost Stone's strength, there is a chance for him to fight hard. Master Hanamaru, what do you think of the current battle situation? It is undoubtedly detrimental to Eminem. Although Badger's Fire Eevee is very good at charcoal, it is definitely not dependent on it. At this time, just exchanging scarf for it will not change the Fire Eevee. Ibrahimovic's fighting power is suppressed too much. Hanamaru said matter-of-factly. Charcoal is not simply charcoal, but refers to a condensation of firepower. If Pokémon uses the power in it, it can better master the power of fire. Badger's Eevee basically carries these types of props, and they are all very familiar with the props they carry. Now that charcoal is gone, Fire Ibrahimovic's arrogance is a little weaker, but it is not essentially weakened, and the effect of pay attention to scarves is also in effect at this time. But at this moment, I saw that Jenga was still on the field, and his skills were ready one step faster. Punch me, ghost. Ghost struck out with a punch, and along with the power of the shadow space, it hit Fire Ibrahimovic. This time Fire EV did not choose hold. After all, this is the real Jenga. When it evolves into Mega, its physical strength is not that great, and judging from Eminem's previous performance, it is not realistic to delay the Mega time limit. Therefore, Badgie prepared to attack, but at this time, I saw that the hit Fire Ibrahimovic felt no pain or itching, but a somewhat illusory chain disappeared from its body, and then the fire on Fire Ibrahimovic was weakened out of thin air again. Badgie was also stunned for a moment, and then realized that this was its sealing technique. Hanamaru was also stunned at this moment, but he recognized it immediately. The punch me and the drawing of power from the shadow space are just deceptions. In essence, this is a general sealing technique. The effect is to temporarily seal the target's last used skill. So, Badger's Fire EV will be temporarily unable to use Flash Charge. I wonder if he has any other fire-based moves. The host followed Hanamaru's words, but Hanamaru interrupted directly. It's not just this problem. Fire EV has been replaced with Scarf before, and now it can't activate other skills except Flash Charge. That means the host gradually understood. That's right, Scarf attention allows it to only use Flash Charge, and Sealing Technique prevents it from using the last Flash Charge it used. So Fire EV can't use skills now, and it definitely doesn't carry other fire skills, so the flame power on its body suddenly faded away. Hanamaru explained at this time. Yes, Pokémon can generally use their own powers in addition to their skills, but only if they carry corresponding attribute moves. After all, the skill gene segment is like a bridge between Pokémon and the energy of various systems. Generally speaking, this is not a problem. No matter what, 1 or 2 skill slots will be evenly allocated to the own skills, but now Badger's Fire EV seems to only have 1 Flash Charge, which is actually no wonder. After all, Fire EV is a physical attacker, and there are not many fire-type physical attack skills that can be learned. Eminem also discovered this at this time, and his eyes lit up. This was an unexpected surprise. Eminem's main purpose is actually just to lock its skills and limit its output. It seems that the Badgie players can only change players now. Just as the host spoke, Hanamaru interrupted. Mega Jenga's characteristic is shadow trampling. That's right. If you observe carefully, you will find that there is a very light linear shadow connecting the shadow of Mega Jenga and the shadow of Fire EV on the field. Under the characteristic of shadow trampling, Pokémon cannot return to the Pokéball. Mega evolution is still very rare, especially among new trainers, so people didn't immediately realize it before. Badger also understood that something was wrong at this time, and immediately signaled to the referee that he wanted to give up. Of course, it was just a Pokémon called Fire EV. However, his abstention was naturally rejected by Eminem. The threat of Fire EV was greatly reduced. Although it was still fluttering on the field, Mega Jenga still did not take the initiative to challenge. Come and beat me, come and beat me, Gissy. Ghost Stone provoked in a very wicked way. Until the skill was ready again, I saw a pool of shadows of Mega Jenga on the ground. At this time, it suddenly spread and split, and then the figure of Mega Jenga emerged from each pool of shadow. Its shadow clone, as expected. Hanamaru seemed to have guessed something. With the assistance of shadow clone, under the chaos of the whole audience, not only was it impossible to use skills, but also the fire control ability was greatly reduced, and the pure physical impact could not hurt the ghost type Jenga's Fire EV, and it was even more useless. Although these shadow clones are almost inoffensive, their disrupted effect is excellent. It is said that this move is the 7th generation Hokage's signature skill. All his Pokémon have awakened shadow clone. The effect of the clone is not only more difficult to destroy, but also has a certain degree of aggression. At this time, the Mega Jenga skill was prepared again, and shadow clone was used again. When the effect of sealing technique is almost gone, Mega Jenga will add another one. Sealing technique, shadow clone, Sealing technique, shadow clone. In the blink of an eye, shadow clone has been used 5 times, and the field is already full of Mega Jenga, and Fire EV is fluttering feebly, making it impossible to effectively reduce the number of shadow clone. At the same time, if Mega Jenga does not take the initiative to attack, Fire EV will not be able to directly tire itself out. Unlike in the game, there is no specific improvement in dodge rate and hit rate. Seeing that shadow clone has been almost accumulated, Eminem couldn't help but remind Ghost Stone, it's almost done. The next battle will also be a test of physical strength. Then everyone finally saw that Mega Jenga no longer uses shadow clone. But when the skill was ready again, all the Mega Jengas in the audience dimmed their third eyes, and then a fierce aura surged out. However, they did not attack the opponent, but stimulated the Mega Jengas itself. Trick, use the power of evil to stimulate your own spirit so that the special attack can activate to levels. Chapter 364 Harvest. Return to Shadow Clone. It's awful. The number of shadow clones requires a lot of proficiency, right? That's right. This Jenga doesn't look like a shadow clone expert. Controlling so many shadow clone already seems rigid, but it doesn't matter. They obviously want to spread shadow clones all over the place, so as long as I pretend to be rigid, it's a trick. He brought a trick. It seems this is Eminem's plan. As the situation further developed, Eminem's tactics became clear to everyone. First, use Jenga's trick to swap out Scarf to lock the opponent's single skill, and then use sealing technique to seal the only skill point, then leave the opponent whose output is seriously insufficient on the field, and take the opportunity to clone and strengthen yourself to establish your advantage. This is indeed the case. Even if UNZ did not send Mega Jenga Evolution Stone last night, Eminem would bring Black Gaze himself to limit the opponent's substitutions. It's just that this will drag on longer and consume more energy. Even among the so-called Iron Slaves, Eminem is now a slave among slaves. It can be said that we are thinking about the problem completely from a tactical level. It is all routine and there is no emotion at all. Usually only Pokémon card players have such complete tactical thinking. If a new trainer does this, he is definitely going astray. But the bond between Eminem and Pokémon is not low. Why do you know it is not low? Nonsense. Can you Mega Evolve? If it's too low, is it really possible to have a Mega Evolution Stone? Seeing Mega Jenga on the field perform trick 3 times in a row, raising the special attack to its own limit, the whole place was full of shadow clones, and their whole bodies seemed to be burning with ghost flames from the underworld. This is exactly why Eminem cares about stamina, stimulating the special attack to level 6. For Pokémon, the consumption of physical strength is very intense. At this moment, all the shadow clones raised their hands, and huge shadow balls condensed. Watch the move. Eat my shadow from all directions, ball ghost. All the clones spoke at the same time, and the surroundings were full of harmony. The next moment, they all flew towards Fire EV. In fact, the aggression of ordinary shadow clones is almost negligible. They are just images and their main effect is to interfere with the opponent. But the attacks of real Mega Jenga are also mixed in now. Duang. There was a loud noise, and a pit was made in the green grass field, and Hoibu was already lying in it. Upon seeing this, the referee announced, Fire EV has lost its combat effectiveness. Please ask player Badgie to replace the Pokémon. Before the referee could say anything, Badgie had already replaced Moon Ibrahimovic. As soon as Moon EV appeared, the golden markings on his body flashed, and he dexterously attacked these rigid clones on the field. The evil Moon EV clears its clone much faster than the Fire EV after being sealed. Apparently Badgie hasn't given up yet. That's it. You won't be able to defeat Gissy, even if I give you an hour. Here, I'm a real ghost. Stone kept talking to interfere with Moon EV, but the latter just attacked step by step, making Ghost Stone a little anxious. Soon the Ghost Stone skill preparation was completed, and energy bombs condensed with poisonous power were floating all over the place. But when countless energy bombs hit, Moon EV's whole body was suddenly enveloped by a barrier. Obviously Badgie has also noticed that Eminem's biggest weakness at this time is Jenga's Physical strength. Duang there was another loud noise, and Moon Eevee was still slightly affected. After stimulating 6 stages of special attack, Ghost Stones, Sludge Bomb, was able to penetrate the level 80 Moon EVS. Keep it, but after penetration, the threat is no longer great. The purpose of Moon Eevee at this time seems to be delay plus. Cleaning up clones. Moon Eevee, who had excellent durability, was defeated after receiving 2 more sludge bombs, and, just when the 3rd sludge bomb hit it directly in the face, Moon Eevee also made a wolf roaring gesture and let out a cry. Along with the sound, evil energy swept across. It was a loud roar that pushed back Ghost Stone's special attack point, although Moon Eevee also fainted under the bombardment of sludge bomb. Later, it not only consumed a lot of Ghost Stone's physical strength, but also eliminated nearly half of the shadow clones and stimulated Ghost Stone's special attack. Reduced to 5 paragraphs, however, although the remaining half of the clones are not as densely packed, their expressions and movements are more flexible, and their special attack motivation has been reduced by 1 level. Their attack power is sufficient, and they can also reduce some physical consumption. Moon Eevee has lost his combat effectiveness. Please ask Badgie player to change the Pokémon. I saw that the 3rd Pokémon that Badgie replaced, and the last Pokémon in the single stage, was Fairy Eevee. Eminem was slightly relieved when he saw this. It's not that Fairy Eevee is weak, but at least the poison type restrains its fairy type. What Amu is most worried about is that Badgie takes out a leap. Not only is it fast, and it is very likely to defend twice, but he is not afraid of poison or ghosts. However, in the Game Ball, the singles and double Pokémon are in different divisions, and only one position is a general position. This is decided before the game, not just 6 Pokémon. Obviously Badgie did not expect this situation in advance. At this time, a Fairy Eevee that was restrained by the poison system and was not very fast came up, which made Eminem sigh with relief. Ghost Stone's physical strength was almost exhausted, so he couldn't completely rest assured. Thank you green grass field. Otherwise, Eminem's chances of winning may be even lower. What? A stubborn ghost? I can consider accepting you as my younger brothers. GG. I only used 1/10 of my strength. Ghost Stone kept making nonsense, but Fairy Eevee ignored it and attacked step by step completely according to its own rhythm. Soon the audience discovered that this Mega Jenga with a very loose mouth was also silent. It's obviously the final moment of perseverance. Eminem and Badger also became nervous at this time, each using their own way to encourage their Pokémon. Fairy Eevee also overdrawn, hold first, and then received a sludge bomb in the face. It didn't fail, thanks to its level being much higher than Jenga. Even Badger's Eevee, the tallest in the cloth. However, it can be seen at this time that both sides are in poor condition. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365 Advantages. Fairy Eevee and Mega Jenga had a fight. Although Fairy Eevee is the strongest Eevee in Badger as a fairy type Pokémon, it is restrained by poison type skills. Seeing that at this time, the clones of Mega Jenga have been cleared to about the number of shadow clones, barely 2 digits. Fairy Eevee also suffered heavy injuries and had trouble moving. Both sides understand that the battle has reached the final stage. At this moment, 10 Mega Jengas were seen raising the Shadow Ball together, and Fairy Eevee also inhaled at the same time. Shadow Ball. Loud sound. Fairy Eevee didn't choose to restrain Jenga's superpower moves, not because it didn't have it, but because it wasn't sure of hitting it. After all, there were many clones on the field disrupting it. And I'm also worried about being offset by opposing waves now. Mega Jenga's Shadow Ball can definitely easily offset the psychic shock of Fairy Eevee and then use the remaining power to kill Fairy Eevee. In contrast, Big Sound can sweep a whole area. As a sound-based move, it does not have the effect of wave reversing, so each one fights on its own. The characteristic of Fairy Eevee is fairy skin. This loud sound is also used to surge the star power belonging to the fairy type, not the normal type power. There is no need to worry about not being able to hit the ghost type. It just doesn't work well. Even so, loud sound, after sweeping away all the clones of Mega Jenga on the field, disappeared. Because the main body was attacked and almost exhausted. Even the clone that was not attacked disappeared at this time. But at the same time, Fairy Eevee once again hit Shadow Ball in the face, and there was no doubt that he fainted after losing the battle. The reason why Shadow Ball is used instead of Sludge Bomb is because Fairy Eevee's current physical strength means that it will fall no matter what it hits. For Mega Jenga, Shadow Ball can extract power from the shadow space and save a little physical energy. Fairy Ibrahimovic fell directly to the field with no intention of standing up. What is more suspenseful is Eminem's Jenga. All eyes on the field were now focused on Jenga. I saw that it had released its Mega Evolved form and had even closed its scalloped eyes and swayed in place, but finally stood firm. Fairy Ibrahimovic has lost his fighting ability. The singles match is over. Eminem's player has 9 points and Badger's player has 3 points. Just as the referee was mid-sentence, Jenga also lay down and apparently fainted. But this does not affect the judgment of the game result, since it stood still for a while at the beginning. Even if it knocked down from exhaustion after the game, it was not considered to be knocked down during the game, and Badgie did not get it 3 points. In addition, I saw that Eminem was also pointing his palm at Ghost Stone at this time. Yes, at the last moment, Eminem still used Animal Sense to inspire Ghost Stone. Eminem also notes that the price of standing for a few more seconds is that Ghost Stone may have to miss the semi-finals the day after tomorrow and may not even be able to fully recover in the finals, because it's not just a matter of seconds, it's against the protection of Pokémon by the rules at this time. Both Eminem and Badger immediately took back their Pokémon and sent them to Miss Joy outside the venue. With the bond between Badger and Fairy Eevee, it's not that he can't grit his teeth and hold on. But Badgie can't do this because his Fairy Ibrahimovic is the trump card and occupies the common position of the match ball. That is, Fairy Ibrahimovic also occupies the quota in the doubles if Fairy Ibrahimovic is too overdrawn. Even if Badgie scores 3 more points at this time, the subsequent double will be greatly affected. So in the end he decisively lets go. What a nonsense. There is no way your Jenga could continue fighting no matter what. Miss Joy taught Eminem a lesson. While helping Eminem treat Jenga, Eminem smiled and said, "I know, the purpose is just to stand for a little longer. There will be no need for it to appear later." Knowing that Ghost Stone was going to fight for endurance, Eminem certainly couldn't let it be in the universal position. For Eminem, these 3 points are crucial. Every Pokémon in Badger is stronger than Amu, so naturally when it comes to 2 vs 2, it will be twice as strong. Therefore, Eminem also acquiesces that Badgie can get 8 points in double, so Eminem should try to widen the gap in singles, except for the coffin who plays first. Any 3-point Eminem will win. Can't throw it away. Now, as long as Eminem defeats the 2 Pokémon of Badger in a doubles match, he will win the entire match point. And if Badgie had just scored 6 points, Eminem would have to defeat 3 Pokémon in the doubles to win the entire game point if it is a normal priority doubles rule. In fact, as long as Eminem knocks down a Pokémon in the doubles, he can win 11-11. Pity of course. Eminem didn't complain too much about his luck. After all, the green grass field this time has been a big help. During the 5 minutes of intermission, highlights from just now were played piece by piece on the big screens in all directions. Of course, it was Eminem's overwhelming numerical advantage. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to defeat Badger, who was stronger than him, in singles, from the magic and sealing technique at the beginning to the various shadow clone and tricks later. However, Badger's performance was not without its highlights. Using hold again and again to stall for time was actually a correct response. In particular, the final roaring loudly of Moon Eevee was played. Loud roar, among the evil skills, is a skill that typically exerts shock and intimidation effects. After use, it will silence the target's special attack for a period of time. The director replayed that time, roaring loudly, Master Hanamaru, what do you think? The host seemed slightly doubtful about this. A very precise operation. It seems that roaring loudly at that time helped Mega Jenga save his energy, but you must know that Fairy Eevee will appear next, and he will be restrained by poison type skills. If it is not suppressed, this period of special attack, it is likely that it was eliminated the first time it was hit without protection. Hanamaru said that this wave was Badge's precise operation, at least on the 3rd level point, and he later emphasized that all of Badge's choices in the game were actually no mistakes. The reason why we still lost was entirely because of Eminem's tactics. He was too qualified, however. Eminem always took such words as compliments, and they could not change the outcome of the game. Soon the referee also announced again, Badge player vs Eminem player, the doubles match is about to begin. Please players from both sides take their positions. Chapter 366 Doubles. Badge player vs Samu player, standard doubles rules. Please send the starting Pokémon from both sides. After the referee announced, Eminem and Badge sent out their Pokémon. Badge sent out the Riabu, who looked like a sharp-haired man, and the Sunny V, who looked like a cat, but had a pair of huge ears. I have to say that the Ibrahimovic family is very popular, and even Badger is also very popular. As for Eminem, well, it seems to everyone that it's very quality point at this time. Eminem honestly sent out Biofrog and Naughty Thunder Bomb to fight with him. When Badge saw this, his face couldn't help but twitch. Badge, Badge, Badge. There were obviously more spectators shouting Badge's name, especially female spectators, which made Yuanzi very angry, so he shouted loudly to cheer for Eminem. Of course, Eminem is not completely unpopular. Many people who seem to be very upright are also cheering for Eminem at this time, and they have the momentum to become the Spokesperson of quality flow. As the referee said, the game begins. The two Ibrahimovics moved like cunning rabbits, and the Naughty Thunder Bomb also ran around the field without any inferiority. In contrast, Biofrog is as motionless as a mountain, with only a dozen vines extending from its back, attacking in all directions. But the Bulbasaur is also the most gorgeous. As soon as Eminem came up, he activated the Mega Evolution, as expected of Eminem. After the fierce battle in the last round, he still started Mega Evolution right away. It seems he still has a lot of energy. Master Hanamaru, what do you think? The host asked proactively. Haha, it should be because of the eternal flame. The Hanamaru hall owner didn't seem to want to praise Eminem. Seeing this, the host also changed the subject. Master Hanamaru, what do you think of this start? In terms of attributes, the two sides are evenly matched, with a slight bias towards Eminem's player. I think Badge's player must have read it first, so he sent Riab as soon as he came up. But Eminem's player finally acted upright for once, or it's I've read Badge's first reading. The owner of Hanamaru Hall said fairly. Indeed, after Badge's baptism in the last game, he originally thought that Eminem would not immediately send out his best and most advantageous grass type Pokémon on the field, so he used Leap first. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. I saw that Riabu's skill was ready the fastest in the field, and it immediately turned into a beam of lightning, and it was gone with just one touch on Mega Frog Flower. Yes, this is also the second reason why Riab came up first. Eminem's Pokémon has different attributes. Any EV sent up will likely be restrained. In comparison, at least Eevee can be replaced the fastest. Although in terms of racial value, Naughty Thunder Bomb is still faster, but Boom's level is a bit lower. It is estimated that the skill accumulation speed is only about the same as Sunny V, which is one level lower. Leap can also Volt replacement, and it took some damage before leaving, but it's not enough for Mega Bulbasaur. After all, Megabassaur is not only durable enough, but the grass type is also resistant to electricity. However, the main purpose of this move is not to damage, but to replace. I saw Riabu directly return to the game ball with lightning, and replaced with Fairy Ibrahimovic as the Ibrahimovic family who won the popularity vote again. The reappearance of Fairy Ibrahimovic also made many viewers, especially female viewers, cheer. Eminem also took a few more glances at Fairy Ibrahimovic at this time. During the doubles, Fairy Ibrahimovic had just suffered a serious injury, although now he seems to be fully recovered and can indeed exert his full strength. But Endurance is relatively poor, which is a weakness. Immediately afterwards, I saw the red dots on the forehead of Sunny V and the whole body of Naughty Thunderbomb flashing almost at the same time. Son Ibrahimovic is also considered a high-speed Ibrahimovic in the Ibrahimovic family, but it is not comparable to Naughty Thunderbomb. However, due to the level difference, the son Ibrahimovic on the field has skills ready almost at the same time as Boom. I saw majestic spiritual power pouring out of the red orb on the head of Sunny V, attacking Mega Frog. It was the superpower system psychic power. The poison type of Mega Bulbasaur is restrained by the superpower type. Although Bulbasaur's special defense is not low, at the disadvantage of level, if it were hit head on, it would be uncomfortable, but at the same time, Boom's same superpower power was seen surging, and an invisible force field was suddenly exerted on Aswan and himself, strengthening mentality. When the attack came, the invisible force field radiated light, and resisted point at his Boom's current main skill, Light Wall, one of the double walls, which can resist some special damage. I think that the Naughty Thunderbolt who was once violent has now been trained by Eminem to become a professional user of opening walls. After all, Naughty Thunderbolt can open walls really fast. Eminem has a sense of accomplishment like that of an old mother who persuades her prodigal son to turn back. Even so, Mega Frog still screamed in pain, but it was much better than a direct hit. Eminem secretly estimated that, if there was no light wall, this Sunny V would probably be able to take away Argeruan with just 2 shots of psychic power. Now, it takes at least 3 shots. Argarlic was not to be outdone at this time. At this moment, the seeds at the core of its flower were bulging and glowing slightly, indicating that its skills were ready. I saw it looking at Fairy Eevee, raising its forelimbs and stomping hard. Seeing this, Fairy Eevee avoided the attack and entanglement of the vines, while staring at the Mega Frog flower. After all, it was restrained by the poison element. It is obvious that Mega Frog flower I must have brought a sludge bomb before using the skill. It was true that most of Aswan's vines were concentrated on Fairy Eevee. Seeing that this target was him, however, at this moment, son Ibrahimovic, who was still trying to surround Weddy and save Zao, suddenly a vine came out of the ground behind him. If you look carefully, you will see that it is a vine behind Aswan, which has penetrated into the ground at some point, because the playing field is a green grass field, not a grass field effect caused by skills. So the ground is real soil, and this sudden vine also had a mission at this time, and the bump at its tip was flashing with purple poisonous energy. Son Ibrahimovic was caught off guard and was hit directly. It hurts, but it doesn't hurt very much. It just feels like an ordinary vine twitching. There is no additional skill attack power, but immediately Sunny V noticed that bursts of poisonous power were eroding him. Chapter 367 Fierce Fight. Isn't it? Sludge bomb? Is it? Poison Master? Hanamaru, what do you think? Haha, it seems that Eminem's player is planning to have a protracted battle. In this case, this game might be postponed until everyone has lunch. In the commentary room, Hanamaru has already judged Eminem's intention. Indeed, the short-term effects of this poison are often not as good as ordinary poisoning effects. Poison the trainer's magical skill. In theory, there are many Pokémon that can be learned. It can be said that except for a few types that cannot be learned, all others can be learned, but in reality, it's useless for most Pokémon to learn it. Whether a Pokémon can learn a certain skill depends not so much on its attributes, but on its body shape or organs. Generally, only Pokémon with poison glands can learn poison type skills. Otherwise, it is like venomous poison. Although most Pokémon can learn it, but there are no poison glands. Even if you learn it, it can only be attached to the saliva. When you use it, how far can the spit? How much to spray? Practicality is worrisome. Therefore, this is not a question of whether you can learn it well or not, but it is of little use, even if you learn it. However, Bulbasaur, as a poison type Pokémon, naturally has poison glands. There are some differences between moderately poisonous and ordinary poisoning. Poisoning is the poisonous power that slowly erodes the target's physical strength, while very poisonous is the poisonous power that slowly erodes the target's body. The original power has also been infected into poisonous power. Therefore, although poison is not as fierce as ordinary poison at first, the toxicity will become more and more serious, making the target unable to fight for a long time. And Badge's Sunny V, although it has a synchronization attribute, but no matter how synchronized it is, it can't poison type Pokémon. After all, poison type Pokémon have their own poison glands, and they will be absorbed immediately after being poisoned. Badgie had no intention of replacing Sunny V at this time. When Sunny V and Naughty Thunderbomb had their skills ready again, Sunny V saw another psychic power sweep towards the Mega Frog Flower, and Naughty Thunderbomb instantly fired the reflective wall. Again, compared to Eminem, Badgie can be said to be very upright now. It seems that he is preparing to use the output of Ibrahimovic of the Sun before Venom does not play a big role, having been restrained twice in a row, and being hit by many superpower moves that were higher than him in level. Even the thick-skinned Aswan felt uncomfortable now. If he did it again, he would probably fall. Fortunately, Aswan's speed is not very fast, and he barely managed to avoid being trapped by Boom and Badge's son Ibrahimovic. He completed the skill preparation one step ahead of Fairy Ibrahimovic. The leaves and petals on its back trembled, and then it suddenly flew towards Fairy Eevee. A cloud of pollen came, and Fairy Eevee immediately dodged it deftly. Such an upright, hypnotic powder was actually not easy to hit. After all, pollen was definitely easier to dodge than most skills, but just when Badgie was breathing a sigh of relief, Son Ibrahimovic scored twice, and a vine emerged from the ground behind him. Originally Sunny V was on guard. After all, he had just suffered a loss, but when he saw that Mega Frog's target was indeed Fairy Eevee, it and Badgie were inevitably a little slack. Careful when Badgie warned him, it was already too late. I saw that the bones at the top of the vine exploded suddenly after they were drilled out, and they looked like they had flowered, and this little flower was like an oxygen mask on Tay Ibrahimovic's face. Go up, and suddenly, Son Ibrahimovic's eyes became blurred. Yes, hypnosis powder. It's hypnosis powder, but the target is still Sunny V. As for what Fairy Eevee avoided, that's just pollen. After all, even if you don't use skills, Bulbasaur also has pollen, but it has no other effects. It turns out that the target of hypnosis is still here. Taeyang Eevee has been tricked, the host said immediately. It was only then that the audience realized that Ibrahimovic's fans were still cheering for the agility of Ibrahimovic on the field, but now they felt as if they were being strangled by the throat. On the contrary, a large number of high-quality viewers praised Eminem for his great job, and that he was simply a role model for our generation. Master Hanamaru, what do you think? Seeing that Master Hanamaru didn't speak, the host asked proactively, HMPH, using ordinary pollen as a blindfold is also a common trick used by grass-type Pokémon when using hypnotic powder. But, originally, when Hanamaru first opened his mouth, he had no intention of praising Eminem, just like before. But after a pause, he still said, but it is worth noting that the top of the vine of the Bulbasaur can bloom. This is a phenomenon that only occurs when the Bulbasaur is cultivated very well. The general Bulbasaur does not. It will be like this. It seems that Eminem's Bulbasaur has far from reaching its full potential as a grass-type concern. Hanamaru specifically emphasized this point. Eminem's tactics are indeed quality, but if you ignore his solid foundation of cultivation and training, you are being deceived by him. At this time, after Mega Bulbasaur used its skills on the field, Fairy Eevee, Naughty Thunderbomb and Sunny V had their skills ready almost at the same time. In the two skills of Mega Bulbasaur, the skills of Naughty Thunderbomb and Sunny V were ready 3 times. As for Fairy Eevee, which was replaced by Libby halfway as a slow Eevee, then the skill is ready for the first time. However, at this time Ibrahimovic of the Sun was poisonously sleeping on the field. Badgie could not wait for it to wake up and immediately took advantage of the opportunity of having his skills ready to take back Ibrahimovic of the Sun. I saw Yayabu with long leaves on the top of his head, then appeared on the spot in order to cover the Ibrahimovic who had just landed. Fairy Ibrahimovic immediately jumped in front of it and out in the direction of the opponent. The power of the stars rolls. It is a move driven by the power of the fairy type, big sound, but at the same time, Naughty Thunder Bomb ignored fairy EVS, loud sound, turned into a bolt of lightning, rushed up against the sound wave, rubbed against fairy EV, and then returned to the game ball. After passing through the double wall, he used Volt Exchange to exit the game just like Reab Pointan. This time it was replaced. The heaven and the earth share the same longevity. Grandmaster Pi. Chapter 368 scored twice. Yibu. Bulbasaur is still on the court, but the Badgie player is replaced by Yibu. Master Hanamaru, what do you think? The host did not have such a sophisticated tactical vision. It was also to give the guests a sense of participation and to pass the conversation again. Eminem's Bulbasaur has just been affected by 2 mental strong thoughts and another loud sound. It is now a candle in the wind. The next time the skill is ready, it will most likely be affected by it. Change it back. Hanamaru could obviously understand Badge's thoughts. The Mega Bulbasaur on the field has no chance to output. If you still dare to stay on the field and greedy for damage, it will be a good thing. No matter EV or Fairy EV, you can take it away with 1 skill point. Even if the poison type restrains the grass type, it is impossible for Mega Frog to beat EV in seconds. After all, the level gap is their point. Sure enough, Eminem was still reluctant to give away his trump card, so he directly replaced Us1. This was not beyond Badge's expectation, nor Hanamaru's guess, but the Pokémon he replaced surprised everyone present. This is Cassie. Hoodie is indeed a very strong Pokémon, and it can be regarded as the signature Pokémon of the Quartz Alliance. But, if you can't evolve Hoodie, even a Youngera, aren't you Cathy making trouble? Chirp. Cassie yelled lazily as soon as he came out. Cassie is Hoodie's first form. Due to the contradiction between his overly strong mental power and his weak body, he spends most of his time sleeping. Hey, bullying, right? Are they all coming towards your Grandpa Pi? I'm going to beat 2 of them today. Pikaxi shouted while being chased around by 2 EV Point. Although Badger also knew that Cathy was weak, and he also didn't understand why Eminem brought a Cassie with him at this time. But he also understood that Cathy was not that easy to be hit, especially outside of skills. With an overly weak body and strong mental power, Cassie can teleport anytime and anywhere, although the effect is somewhat different from actually activating the teleportation skill. For example, the teleportation distance is not that far, and the Pokémon behind it cannot use the full skill. After all, it does not need to charge itself, but it wants to attack. It's definitely not easy to get their point. After evolving to Youngera and Hoodie, the body gradually becomes compatible with the mental power, but this ability will be lost instead. Point of course. Even so, if you can evolve, you will still choose to evolve, because it is stronger after evolution, especially Hoodie, who can use psychic power as a normal attack. As for Cassie, firstly, its mental power is strong enough compared to its body. After conversion, its special attack racial value is only 105 points. In the hands of a group of special attackers, it is by no means low, but it is not very high either. High point. And if you only deal with it alone, its teleportation can only delay time. After all, this is a competition ground, and it can't really escape. Not only does it consume a lot of physical energy when teleporting to dodge, but also, some large-scale skills can disrupt its teleporting. Pokémon that are also super types can even use mental power to force it out. Point. It's just like now, with Eminem's 2 Pokémon on the field, Cassie is definitely not the first target. Anyway, Cassie would never dare to take the initiative to attack outside of his skills. Why not just pretend that this slippery guy doesn't exist and focus on the other one? That's why the scene in front of me happened. Grandmaster Pi was thrown into a panic while Cassie was sitting in a sitting position, floating to the side. His eyes narrowed as if he was about to fall asleep. Point. Until he saw Fairy EV take a deep breath, and the power of the surrounding stars surged, twinkling like stars. The next moment, with the sound of Awu, the fairy energy surged out and rolled towards Pixie and Cassie on the side. Point. However, Cassie disappeared in a flash, and Pixie also disappeared under the beam of the game ball. In terms of speed race value, Pixie and Fairy Eevee are the same. Both are 60 points, which is not high, but for Fairy Eevee, speed is a disadvantage, and this aspect is not focused on during training, but Pippi was specially trained for speed. This makes the higher level Fairy Eevee and Pippi have their skills ready at almost the same time. At this time, Eminem decisively changed people. Although the Pokémon he replaced appeared right where he was, and it was impossible to avoid the big sound that was in front of him, but the one he replaced was Boom Pointer's naughty ancient thunder bomb. Boom has dual characteristics. In addition to detonation, it also has sound isolation. This is why it dared to rush into loud sound and volt exchange before, because of the sound-based moves, has no effect on it. Although Pippi's skill was wasted, Fairy Eevee's skill was also used up again. The next moment, Cassie with a speed value of 90 opened his eyes slightly. It came on late, so it fell behind Fairy Ibrahimovic and Pippi. Bajia was originally on guard against it, but unexpectedly, I saw a burst of spiritual energy blooming all over Cassie at this moment. The next moment it was concentrated on Yeeb, and the next moment, the blade on the head of Yeebu suddenly shrank a little, and a burst of anger surged through his body. In the blink of an eye, the leaf blade on the head of Yeebu was obviously more wilted, and appeared a little charred. What kind of attack is this? The host was also stunned at this time. Why does it appear to be a superpower skill, but in the end, it causes a burn effect? Hanamaru said with a straight face. It's trick, the one used by Jenga before. No, it's the trick used by Variety Monster, but this time the one used by Yeebu is Fire Orb. Another trick. This is a double score. Host, Fire Orb, a gemstone rich in fire attribute power, and unlike charcoal, its fire attribute power is too violent, and the effect of carrying it is, it makes people fall into a burn state when carried. Not an ordinary high temperature burn, but specifically refers to a state in which the power of fire erodes the target during a Pokémon battle, in addition to consuming physical strength. More importantly, it will greatly suppress the body's strength. The more active you are, the more intense the erosion of firepower will be. Because it seems to have a negative effect at first glance, people only carry it on some special occasions. Like now, Yeebu's initial momentum was because the grass type amplification item, Miracle Seed, was replaced, and the second was because he was burned by the Fire Orb. Bajia, who originally thought that the threat from Cassie was limited and could be dealt with later, suddenly turned green. Chapter 369. Step by step. At the critical moment of Cassie, he actually used a trick and directly exchanged the Fire Orb to Yeeb, which directly made Badger's face turn green. If it were another Ibrahimovic, he could still hold on. After all, the burn damage could be sustained in a short period of time, but you must know that Eevee is the same as Fire Ibrahimovic. He belongs to the Ibrahimovic family, a rare physical attacker in the world. The most troublesome thing about burn is not the continuous damage, but the limitation it places on the body's strength. The physical attacker's hand was burned and almost useless. As for Kathy herself, Ake's characteristic is magic defense, and he is not afraid of the side effects of Fire Orb at all. Eminem's Fire Orb can be said to be waiting for Yeeb, and Ake got it just for it. After all, this Fire Orb has to be stuffed into the physical attacker to be valuable, and Badger's physical attacker is nothing more than Fire Eevee, and Yeeb, Fire Eevee isn't it had appeared in doubles, and only Yeeb was left, and this was a green grass field. Eminem thought that it was impossible for Badgie to not bring Yeeb as expected. I and Ake were waiting. Soon Bajia also replaced Yeeb. Now Yeeb can either leave or stay in Sword Dance, using the physical strength to suppress burn and forcibly rely on stimulating physical attacks. Pullback point. After all, there is a green grass field now, which can restore physical strength, but if you choose the latter, what if Pixie brings coquettishness? When the time comes, Sword Dance will be replaced by Coquettish. Although Pixie is not as fast as Yeeb, it is still not twice as fast. Before the next skill, it will definitely be pushed back, but it will be in vain. Deplete power. Therefore, Badgie chose to replace Yeeb, and replace him with Raid. Eminem soon reminded Boom to Volt replacement, and replaced it with Pippi again, with Eternal Flame. around. Eminem is not afraid to compete with the opponent and change players. The current battle situation is very tense, with frequent substitutions on both sides. The host heated up the atmosphere at this time point and Amaru said at this time, yeah, but player Badgie has started to think too much, and has fallen into the rhythm of player Eminem. Oh. Hanamaru Hallmaster, do you think it is an advantage for Eminem players now? The host asked at the right time. It's not an advantage, it's just a small disadvantage. Hanamaru's words were fair. Eminem's disadvantage comes from off the court. He is already weaker than Badgie. Now that we are back a little bit, this is the credit of Eminem's proper performance on the court. Amu's idea of doubles has become clear, and he is not aiming for a quick win. He does understand the gap in strength. It is impossible to win 2 games straight away, while Badger is not paying attention. Therefore, he first added hypnosis powder and poison to push back the son Ibrahimovic, who was a great threat to his main force, and then used fire orb to push back Ibrahimovic. Hanamaru's analysis made many viewers who had not seen the trick before understand Eminem's step-by-step double strategy. Eminem actually defeated the strong in singles before, which made many viewers who know a little bit couldn't help but put themselves into Eminem's perspective. Although they disdain his tactics, they can't help but feel sad in their hearts. Substitute how does a dark horse win? The conclusion is very difficult. Although they have the previous advantage, now they only need to score 4 points in doubles, that is, defeating 2 Ibrahimovics. But, first of all they can think of is quick victory. However, due to the gap in strength, you want to quickly promote 2 Ibrahimovics. Unless Badgie falls asleep, it is actually the safest thing for Eminem to calm down now. Take steps step by step. Force out all the Ibrahimovics from Badgie, and then slowly find a way to win. First, he forced away the 2 that were a big threat to him, and then, it seems that Eminem's main target at this time is the strongest, but also the weakest fairy EV. First, Cassie made a defensive deuce, which reminded everyone, it turns out there is such a skill. This move is still very rare in the arena. It does not directly lower the opponent's defense, but uses the weird side of superpower to evenly divide one's own and the opponent's physical defense and special defense point. As long as the distance between the 2 parties is close, the effect of this move will always be there. As for Cass's original double defense, special defense can be said to be very low, but physical defense cannot be said to be bad. It can only be said to be almost non-existent. Ake and Fairy EV were evenly divided like this. Although they couldn't be completely divided due to the level difference, Fairy EV could leave more, but it was already equivalent to his own physical defense, and special defense has been improved by more than 2 levels, while Fairy Ibrahimovic has been reduced by 1.5 levels each. One skill has more than 3 effects. At this time, Pippi took the opportunity to use Comet Fist to retaliate. Comet Fist, although it is not Pippi's natural skill, it can restrain the fairy, and it is also the skill that Pippi is best at. Before Eminem even knew it, it was already in the wild, and mastered this skill by itself. After all, it used the Comet Fist when it sneak attacked such as men at Eugian Mountain. Amu suspected that this was a skill he had developed in order to fight with other Pippi. When Ake's skills are ready, Psychic Impact is also at his service. Psychic Impact is a very special move. It is a special attack skill, but it causes a physical impact, which is a test of physical defense. Of course, the levels of Riebu and Fairy Ibrahimovic are there. Eminem sets fire to Fairy Ibrahimovic. Badgie sets fire to Pixie. Of course, Pippi first Wind Remnant Candle, especially now, even if Boom brings Light Clay, the double wall effect has ended. But it doesn't matter if Pippi is a candle in the wind. After all, heaven, earth, unity, longevity. I saw Pippi suddenly use Tongming, and then immediately followed with Zenki Fist. Everyone is already familiar with this set, and they understand that it is going to cause trouble. As long as Eminem wins to heads, he can win with points. If Pippi trades 1 for 1, no matter which Ibrahimovic is replaced, it will be a matter of blood. Moreover, the next 2 EV are in poor condition now, and need time to recover. This will also give Eminem time to defeat the second EV, but it's not that easy, and Badger is obviously prepared. At this time, he did not attack Pippi decisively. Instead, like Oi before, he became a little timid, causing Pippi's Zen Ki Fist to be fully charged before everyone could wonder why Bajia would make such a mistake despite having learned from the past. He had already demonstrated how to crack the trick of heaven and earth live together. Chapter 370 Atmosphere. This is my last Zen Ki Fist. Seeing that Pippi's Ki Fist was fully charged, it hit Fairy Eevee point at this moment. Fairy Eevee was suddenly surrounded by an invisible protective shield. Duong Zen Ki Fist hits guard. Not only could it not break, defend, but Pippi would inevitably be stagnant for a moment because the attack was blocked point. Although it is more difficult for Fairy Eevee to fight back after holding on to defense. But just when Pippi was about to take action, Rhea on the other side, who seemed to be forcing Kathy to come out, was already flashing with pure body energy point at this time. Lebu, which was already extremely fast, rushed over at lightning speed. That's right, it's a flash of lightning. Lebu also used the preemptive skill at the right time, and then unexpectedly bumped into Pippi. Lebu's body was flashing with electric light, and his skin was suddenly numb with electricity. This electric light was a normal attack of Lebu, not a skill point. However, with the blessing of flash of lightning, Pippi Woot was attacked twice, and was about to fall down, and at this time, Tongming had been interrupted by the stimulation of Zen Ki Fist. And at the same time, there is no time to stimulate the next. Same life gap. Pippi, stand up. Eminem reached out to encourage Pippi. I saw Pippi falling to the ground and bouncing, but he stood up when he landed for the last time, and when Rhea was chasing him, and when he was about to arrive, the ghost type power lingered all over his body, and behind him the ghost appears again, and Lebu took advantage of the situation, and hid with his body, but did not attack Pippi. Beautiful. Player badges to Eevee, with their very tacit cooperation, broke the world of Eminem's Pikachu. However, player Eminem also relied on the bond between himself and Pokémon at the critical moment, so that Pikachu was not defeated directly, and now he fired. Same life, again. The host explained the scene just now very quickly. The leader of Hanamaru Hall also said from the side, this kind of opportunistic skill combination is inherently easy to crack. If you want to truly play a role in high-end duels, you must awaken and combine the two. This Pikachu only used same fate this time and did not charge up Zen Ki Fist again. It seemed that he was not prepared to bet on whether he could succeed next time, but had other ideas. What Hanamaru Hall Master said is true, but the rookie competition is not that high-end. Badgie must have done this for the heaven and earth live together move. Otherwise how could the Leeb that was specially attacking could have brought lightning flash? In fact, Bajia also has an element of gamble. It may not be just right every time. If he tries again, he might be given the same life by Pippi in time next time and die together. But Pippi, get ready to change into Aguan. Eminem said at this time. Sure enough, are you planning to use Healing Wish? It seems that Eminem's player has never thought about the situation where the skill combination will be cracked. Hanamaru also said in the commentary room. This skill combination is most effective when it is used for the first time, because the opponent will not think about how to break it in advance, especially the opponent who previously chose kill at first sight because of difficulty in choosing, and he was at a loss on the spot. Missed opportunities. Wish to heal. I remember that this move is to overdraw one's own power to heal another Pokémon. If used in a competition, it can kill another Pokémon at the cost of losing one's own ability and fainting. Get on the field. It is true that Eminem's Bulbasaur is already in ruins. If he uses Healing Wish to bring it back, the situation will not be good for Badger. The host also explained at this time. The moment Wish to heal takes effect, Pippi will lose the battle on his own, so Riebu and Fairy Ibu also lose interest in it at this time, and even are avoiding it to try to block Ake. The reason why Wish for healing was not done immediately was probably to delay it for a little longer, and the situation at that time was that the pursuit of Riebu was right in front of us, and Wish for healing might be interrupted. Then when the time comes, just give it away. The current state of same life will last until Pippi uses Healing Wishes. Of course, Riebu and Fairy Ibu will not dare to attack it. However, with Pippi's short arms and short legs, it is really difficult to produce any output in addition to skills, and when the opponent is avoiding it. Awu, Fairy Ibrahimovic took advantage of Pixie and Cassia's opponents, and immediately sprayed a loud sound towards the latter from two aspects, although Ake immediately used teleportation to dodge. But, having already caught some patterns of Riebu, he made the right bet. Fairy Ibrahimovic's loud sound has a cone-shaped attack range when viewed from the plane. Ake had to dodge or blink to the left, move or teleport to the right, and the distance, if you want to avoid it, you are basically close to Ake's teleport limit. Moreover, Badgie just discovered that this is not a 50-50 split. Eminem's Kathy instinctively tends to go to the right, so Rayab has already been prepared. At this moment, without thinking, a strong electric current burst out all over the body. It's discharge. This move is the same as earthquake. If mastered normally, it will focus on oneself and release attacks indiscriminately to the surroundings. Seeing Eminem's Kathy seemed to have fallen into a trap. However, at this moment, Kathy disappeared again. This wave of Amu was in the atmosphere. He had already discovered that Libu was having bad intentions. The moment Ake teleported to the ground, he also used the preemptive skill and swap sight without even thinking about it. Under Badge's nervous eyes, Kathy disappeared in an instant, replaced by Pikoshi with a ghost behind him. This discharge definitely knocked down Pippi, but it also triggered same life. The ghost figure behind Pippi immediately came out and rushed towards the shadow of Libu. Suddenly its shadow was thrown into chaos. Although there is a level difference, this difference is not enough to make the same fate. The same fate. Awu, Libu wailed and fell down together with Pixie Badgie. Everyone, interpretation room. Pixie has lost his combat effectiveness. Please ask player Amu to replace the Pokémon. Rayab has lost his combat effectiveness. Please ask player Badgie to replace the Pokémon. The referee announced decisively. That's right. The real reason why Pippi continues to use Tongming is actually because Ake also brought the swap sight of justice. Chapter 371 Winning. It's swap sight. Eminem's player used swap sight. I didn't expect that after the combination of same life and Zenki Fist was cracked. Eminem still has this skill. The host also asked at this time. Everyone explained what just happened. What are you doing? Isn't this too good? That's right. I've never used the skill. Swapping fields. You're obviously still talking about getting ready to replace us. One. Are you trying to paralyze Badgie? Asking Pokémon to cooperate in lying is no different from teaching a child to lie. Eminem is a god. Don't worry about their jealousy. The flow of quality will last forever with the classic combination of same life plus swap sight. After forcibly exchanging Pippi and Badge's Rayab for one, Eminem completely turned the game into a dominant match. Fairy Ibrahimovic on the field has been the target of Comet Fist and Psychic Shock before. In addition, he just fainted after losing the battle in singles, and his current condition is not good. Lieb is now fainting after losing the battle. Not only did Eminem score 2 points, but more importantly, Yeb and Son Ibrahim behind, no matter who is replaced, are not in good condition. Eevee was stuffed with Fire Orb, and Sunny V was in an embarrassing state of sleep plus poison. Because they were replaced by same life, they did not lose the battle at the same time, but asked Eminem to send out the Pokémon first. At this time, Eminem released Bulbasaur again. When Badgie saw this, he was even more confused, but he still released Sunny V. Player Badgie sent out the still sleeping Eevee Sun. In contrast, the Eevee V, who was obviously just burned, is in a better condition. And Bulbasaur is here, so she will definitely continue to supplement. Hypnosis powder really? Hanamaru Hallmaster, what do you think? The host asked the guest a question at the right time for the audience who was watching the excitement and couldn't see clearly. After all, this is not a game. You can inhale more hypnotic powder even when you fall asleep. No, you must know that Bulbasaur is on the field at this time. A Bulbasaur with the dual element of grass plus poison. Moreover, Eminem's Eternal Flame will most likely be able to replace the Pokémon. Meng regained his physical strength, and Bulbasaur's physical strength had actually improved a lot. And Uyebu's output depends on the grass type. Even if there is a grass field, but without the miracle seed, it is still in a burned state. Now Uyebu uses grass type physical skills, which is basically impossible for Bulbasaur. No pain or itching point in comparison. It is not as good as Sunny V, as long as it can be awakened in time. Super type skills are also a great threat to Bulbasaur. No, to Mega Bulbasaur. Just as Hanamaru was talking, Eminem had also triggered a Gerik's Mega Evolution, but as for Uyebu, can he use Sword Dance to lift his attack? The host asked one more question. It is indeed an option, but for Mega Frog, 1. Sword Dance won't have much effect on the burned Uyebu, and 2 or 3. Sword Dance. Don't forget I just killed Fairy Ibrahimovic, and he has already withstood so many attacks. Hanamaru emphasized point. Although Fairy Eevee is the highest level, Eminem is estimated to be around level 85, but he had already appeared in singles, and then continued to be focused on, and now he has reached his limit, and the sleep state is relatively easy to solve for Badger. Hanamaru also said one more thing at this time point. Sure enough, I saw Fairy Eevee at this time, without hesitation. Mega Bulbasaur, Cassie, and Sunny V as a teammate, all placed within the attack angle, and then said AWW. Under the surging power of the stars, loud sound, swept out. Sound skills are undoubtedly excellent for awakening sleep point, but at this moment, Mega Ibrahimovic rushed directly towards Sunny V. Regardless, lowered his head and spread, a canopy of hypnotic powder was presented again. It can be seen that the physical strength of Fairy Eevee has indeed greatly affected its combat effectiveness. Previously, the skill speed was obviously faster than that of Ars-1, but now, Ars-1 came into play after its last big sound, but now the skill is ready almost at the same time. Let's see the result. Bulbasaur, which was already in the wind, was actually hit by a loud sound, alive without the cover of light wall, without falling down. Next, Antaeang Ibrahimovic woke up. No. After waking up, he fell asleep again. The host was reporting the situation at this time. Sure enough, Eternal Flame has the effect of restoring physical strength, and Eminem's player is already encouraging his Bulbasaur. It seems that, even if he wins Badgie this time, the subsequent semi-finals will be difficult. Hanamaru said at this time point. Indeed, forcibly encouraging the Pokémon will cause the Pokémon to be unable to recover quickly afterwards. Jenga and Pixie are probably already confirmed to miss the semi-finals. If Bulbasaur is absent again, Eminem may not have a good time in the semi-finals. But Hanamaru didn't notice that he was already imagining Eminem's situation in the semi-finals. It can be seen that in his heart, Hanamaru Hallmaster already feels that Eminem's winning rate has increased in this match. This is indeed the case. After Sun Ibrahimovic failed to be awakened quickly, or was hypnotized immediately after being awakened, Badger's disadvantage began to slide toward defeat. Mega used Holt to support Big Sound again, and Cassie took the opportunity to continue to output Psychic Shock. Seeing that Fairy Ibrahimovic was about to lose his footing, Badger had no choice but to replace Ibrahimovic. At this time, Badger understood that he could no longer replace him, and Fairy Ibrahimovic would only fall down if he came out. And the threat of Yeb Sun Ibrahimovic to Eminem is too small. The latter was still asleep, and the former, although he could barely make up for the extremely poor Argaran by hitting the vital point of Leaf Blade, Argaran also fired a sludge bomb at the end, suppressing the Sunny V physical strength. Eminem's ancient naughty Thunderbolt comes up again. As an electric plus grass Pokémon, it also has double resistance to the grass type. Moreover, when Boom came on the scene, he was basically in full condition. He had not received any attacks before, and he had recovered from Eternal Flame. Although it is not as thick-skinned as Mega Frog Flower, it is difficult to defeat the burned Uyebu quickly, not to mention the ancient naughty Thunder Bomb is also a naughty Thunder Bomb, and its agility cannot be said. However, Sunny V finally woke up after receiving the Sludge Bomb. on his face, but because of the extreme poison, it woke up and was not in good condition. In the end, Boom finally showed his output side at the end of the game. He directly fired 2 leaf green explosion and added the detonation feature to activate the face, replacing Sunny v seeing that only Ibrahimovic and Kathy were left on the field. The referee also stopped the game at this time. Naughty Layden has lost his fighting ability. Sunny Ibrahimovic has lost his fighting ability. The game is over. Eminem's total points already sealed the victory. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372 Prize. The game is over. Eminem's player scored a total of 13 points and won the game. With the referee's announcement, the semi-final match between Badger and Eminem came to an end point. The result of the game was beyond most people's expectations. Eminem relied on his exquisite tactics and stable performance to achieve the final victory and advance to the semi-finals, but Badger, who was optimistic in advance and even considered the best candidate for the championship, stopped in the quarterfinals. Eminem, 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 quality, quality, quality. After a moment of silence, the audience burst into cheers. Although there are some noises of unknown meaning, for the weak defeats the strong, everyone still applauds for the time being. Of course, there are also people who lose control of their emotions. I can only say that betting on dogs does not deserve sympathy. At this time, both parties came forward to shake hands again. Although the disappointment could be seen on Badger's face, he still cheered up. It was a wonderful game, and I learned a lot. Next time we meet, let's do it again. Eminem also smiled and said after exiting the stage and returning to the preparation room. Zaya Aksha immediately came forward excitedly. Although she had expected Eminem to win before, she obviously didn't expect that Eminem would actually win. After the show ended at noon, Yuanzi and Zaya Aksha took Xiaoyi and sneaked into Eminem's lounge with tickets from the family and friends group. Kai Kai talked about how the audience reacted when Eminem made several decisions to turn the situation around on the court. Of course, Eminem knew that what Ozzy said should be embellished. In reality, many times the reaction should be like, there is such a shameless person in addition in front of friends. Eminem also looked very happy, but in fact, Eminem was a little worried. Although he won this time, Pippi, Ghost Stone and Aswan were all overdrawn, and it would take 2 or 3 days to recover. In the semi-finals the day after tomorrow, not to mention not being able to fight at all, but if I force myself to play, my physical strength will probably be reduced by half or even 1/3, which is worse than not being able to compete. But if the 3 of them don't come up, Eminem, this is a bit confusing. The bad news is that Eminem's opponent when he arrives, is the Little Wolf. He has tried his best to fight against him, and he doesn't dare to say he will definitely win. The good news is, his opponent is the Little Wolf, and he shouldn't be able to guess Eminem's lineup and formulate targeted tactics. Of course, regardless of today's tactics or on-the-spot performance, Eminem has nothing to regret. The strength gap between the two sides is here. If we are more conservative, the result is probably that Eminem will be eliminated. Then there is no need to think about how to play in the semi-finals. The first game in the afternoon was Zaya Aksha's match against a certain passerby. What makes Zaya Aksha uncomfortable is that the owner of the Explosive Flame Pavilion is actually the guest commentator. This person did not shy away from suspicion, so she chose her daughter to explain. Fortunately, Zaya Aksha was on the field and couldn't hear the commentary, otherwise, she would be embarrassed. The bias of the leader of the Bakuan Hall is much more obvious than that of the leader of Hanamaru. Although Hanamaru doesn't like Eminem very much, he tells the truth when explaining, and the leader of the Bakuan Hall, he can do any operation of Zaya Aksha big boasts and no principles at all. At first, the host went back and forth, but then he simply gave up the treatment. What made the leader of the Blazing Flame Hall less embarrassed was that Zaya Aksha finally relied on the configuration of the Rainy Day team to win the crucial doubles match and seal the victory with a tie. Win. Bayo Iron in the commentary room was even more excited than the audience, and he continued to boast, hahaha, let me just talk about my Zyarksha. This is deliberately controlling the score, to make her Pokémon Meng shouldn't be too tired. It's like a player like Eminem. If he won like that before, he won't be able to compete in the future. Hahaha, Slim. Shady, why don't you just leave it here? Is it okay not to queue? In the 4th game Zyoma vs Zyro ZHI, Kona, one of the 4 kings of the league, served as the guest commentator. Eminem, like most people, was surprised. The commentator for this year's rookie competition was to heavyweight. The 4 kings of the alliance, like the champions, can also be regarded as the signatures of the alliance, great king level trainers. They may not have been the 4 kings of the alliance, but the 4 kings of the alliance may not be the 4 strongest people. But he must be a great king level trainer. You must know that the trainer's rating is achieved only when all 6 Pokémon have reached combat effectiveness. Those with combat power exceeding 60,000 are called Heavenly Kings, and those with combat power exceeding 120,000 are Great Heavenly Kings. The Great King, that is, 6 Pokémon with a combat power of more than 120,000, and the major alliances together only have more than 100 people. Point. When it comes to commentating on the rookie game, overqualified and underused is not enough to describe it. Point. Of course, Eminem can also understand that they didn't come here specifically for this, but came to Quartz City for the league championship thing. It's just, they're all here. If there is a rookie competition, I will explain it. Zyros' performance once again exceeded expectations. After a fierce battle, he actually defeated Zyromeo, who was full of confidence and even looked down on him at this time. But Eminem can also see that Zyros' current state is probably worse than his own. Paishen will not be able to recover in a few days, and Charizard is also fighting until he has no health. Even Zyros wants to kill him in the end. After taking back the elf ball, it forced him to break free and continued the fierce battle. Only then did he win. When the final 4 contestants appeared, Ash didn't even show up, but went to the Pokémon Center. After a day of fierce battle, the top 4 players have been born. Let us applaud these outstanding new generation trainers. Starting from the next semi-final, the game will be held on the 5th at the Sky Arena of Job and Twin Towers. In addition, the Quartz Alliance will give the top 4 contestants a ticket on the Santanu. They can board the Santanu at any port in the Quartz Alliance during this year's cruise, as far as Kaiu City. At this time, surprise prizes for the top 4 were also announced. When Eminem heard this, he had a strange look on his face. The Santanu? Isn't this the giant ship that is said to be unsinkable? Originally, Eminem was thinking that he would go to the Johto area to attend the next rookie competition, but he was afraid that he would not have the chance to ride on it. But after the show, Eminem heard that Zyarksha and Yuanzi were very interested. Although Yuanzi doesn't have free tickets, she can buy them with money. Eminem, you will also sit down, right? The Santinu also goes to the Johto area. You can just disembark in Johto, and because there is no sea boundary, the Pokémon captured in the sea near the Quartz Alliance can be considered as captured in Kanto and Johto. After hearing this, Eminem couldn't help but murmured, take a look first." Eminem said that he was going to check the information. After all, this is a giant ship that is said to be unsinkable. Chapter 373 Santinu. The 200-year ticket of the Santinu Alliance was sent to Eminem. Originally, Eminem wanted to sell it second-hand. After all, Eminem will have to go to the Johto area, the rookie competition in Kanto. Eminem feels that he may, so he may need to debut in Johto again. But at this time, Yuanzi and others were very interested. Not only did they drag Amu along, but it seemed that they would go, even if Amu didn't go. Seeing this, Amu had no choice but to check the information first. Just imagine, this giant ship with an unlucky name will have to be ridden by both Ash and Conan. It feels a little rude not to sink in. Eminem still has an impression of the Santanu in the animation and the game. In the game, it was okay. The ship sailed away safely, but in the animation, the ship sank in the storm until the captain and everyone got on the lifeboat together, still shouting, "Don't worry, this ship will not sink." In addition, on the ship, there was an incident where Team Rocket snatched Pokémon. In the comics, the sinking of the ship itself was Team Rocket's fault. As for reality, Eminem only heard the name Sanchiano twice after traveling through time, and the specific situation is unclear. I'll check the voyage of the Santanu first. Eminem was not at ease because Zyaksha, Yuanzi and the others really took the Santanu by themselves. Zamu discovered that the Santino is a cruise ship of the Sino Alliance and is currently the largest cruise ship in the world. In addition to regular maintenance for 3 months every year, it will travel around the world for a week in the other 9 months. Fortunately, this year is certainly not the first voyage. It has been sailing for 10 years. During the 9-month journey, the Santanu will stop at various well-known ports and small islands in various regions, and tickets are sold in sections. For example, in the Kanto area, there will be stops in Kauai City, Cerulean City, Ha'angian Island, etc. The earliest stop will be in Cerulean City from September 10th to 12th. The ship came from the Sinnoh region in the north, and its first stop was naturally the first city in the northeast, Hulan Point. The next journey is to sail along the east coast of the Kanto region, then go south to Kauai City, then circle around the southern islands, and then head west to the Johto region. The first stop in Johto is Wakaba town in the southeast, and then it also goes around the coastline, stopping at various coastal ports and islands, until the last stop in Johto, the Asia City in the western peninsula point. After leaving Asia City, the Santanu will continue southward to the Hone region in the southern overseas. The Quartz Alliance's ferry ticket is to Kaiu City, the first stop in the Hone region. Eminem will definitely not have time to travel around the world, but as Sonoko said, Eminem can disembark in the Johto area. If you want to go to the Johto area in the future, you can take a ride on the Santino. Seeing that Amu was already attracted, Yuanzi was searching for the Santino, so she encouraged him even more. No, don't. You think sailing on the sea will make people feel insecure? Eminem tried his best to remind him. It would be best if no one sits down. In this way, Conan will not get on the ship. The worst is to let Conan have more contact with Zyazi later. When he breaks another leg, Zyazi will not be able to get on the ship. In this way, Eminem is also trying to save the Santino. Made your own contribution. Insecure? No way. It's super comfortable. Zyaksha, as a water trainer, said matter-of-factly. Slim Shady. By the way, you can also catch water Pokémon along the way. The Santanu will also be temporarily anchored in some sea areas where sea Pokémon are abundant. You can rent their boats or take your own. The mount partner goes to sea to capture Pokémon. Zyaksha reminded as the most prestigious global journey in the Pokémon world. It naturally also has a link to conquer Pokémon. I'm afraid I won't have time to cultivate other Pokémon in the future. Of course, Eminem still remembers that in the rookie competition, at least 5 of the 6 Pokémon that compete in each battle must be captured locally. After the rookie game in Kanto, Eminem's next 6 months will definitely be spent on Pokémon in the Johto region. No, there are no clear boundaries in the sea area. As long as the Pokémon captured in the sea area near the Quartz Alliance are common to the Kanto and Johto areas, Sonoko said matter-of-factly. Although she doesn't quite understand the rules of the Pokémon contest, she does understand the division of sea areas. That's right, even the Pokémon captured in the Orange Islands can be used. Zyaksha said at this time, but I'm not good at the water element. Eminem was actually a little excited at this time. Seeing this, Yuanzi said, you can go to Silver Mountain first. Pokémon captured in Quartz Plateau and Silver Mountain will be counted on both sides, because the Silver Mountains area is between Kanto and Johto. The Pokémon captured here can also be used in both directions, so that the time on the boat is not wasted, and these Pokémon can be trained. But Silver Mountain is not a place where new trainers can pass freely. Eminem was still awake. Are you afraid of going to sea? Zyaksha looked at Eminem suspiciously. Are you kidding? It's not like I've never been to the sea. Eminem denied it with all his strength. Does Maiden's Gap not count as going to the sea? Zyaksha rolled her eyes at him, probably because she felt that the coastal sea was not the sea. I just think Eminem was about to say something else. Suddenly, Eminem felt the dragon scale token in his consciousness flicker. Slim Shady. Eminem estimates that Leoka can no longer stand it. As a messenger of Poseidon, he is actually afraid of shipwrecks. It is true that the dragon scale token gives Eminem the ability of God of the Sea, which allows Eminem to easily conquer any Pokémon in the ocean. But I'm not interested in the water system. Eminem gave a different reason. It's not like there are only water Pokémon in the sea. Zylaksha shook her head. This is true. Sea God is not useful for water type Pokémon, but for sea type Pokémon, water type Pokémon that are not in the ocean will not pay attention to Sea God, and corresponding non-water type Pokémon that live in the sea will also be ordered by Sea God. Amu thought for a while, and with the ability of God of the Sea, even if the ship sinks, he can help save people, and, indeed, he may be able to meet the Pokémon he likes overseas. Thinking about it this way, it doesn't seem like it would take half a month to go to the Johto area by sea. Seeing Eminem's expression, Yuanzi said directly, okay, it's settled. I'll book the tickets right now. It's not easy to book tickets for the Santa Anu, but Sonoko has superpowers. At this moment, Xiaolan called, and after Yuanzi answered, what? You just won a prize for tickets for the Santo Anu? No, then you can give them to your uncle and aunt. I'm about to book one. Slim Shady. It feels like this ship is getting more and more unstable. Chapter 374 Dark Stars. Xiaolan actually won the ticket for the Santa Anu at this time. Although it is an ordinary class, it is not like the top 4 prizes are in a luxury class, but it still shows that they are lucky. Of course, in terms of results, it may also be a place where misfortune is about to happen, which is particularly easy for Xiaolan to draw. In addition, in order to create opportunities for her parents, she planned to secretly give 2 of them to her father and mother, so that they could meet on the boat. If you look at the people on this boat, it seems like everyone has the word heavy written on their faces. At the end of the quarterfinals, Eminem and Zylaksha have both advanced to the semifinals. No matter what happens next, there will definitely be a celebration party tonight. During the celebration dinner, Yuanzi went to make a phone call and came back jumping. Mom just told me that the Suzuki group has reserved a large space for the Santa Anu from Dryleaf City to Rampa City, saying it will hold an exhibition. Yuanzi just called home, hoping to book a boat ticket, but he learned the news. For ordinary ferry tickets, her pocket money is enough, but now if she wants to book a luxury cabin, she needs some means, which she cannot do by herself. Normally, Yuanzi would definitely accompany Xiaolan and just buy the ordinary cabin, but this time she thought about it and decided to book the deluxe cabin. As for the reason, of course it's convenient to find Xiaolan to play with. As a result, Yuanzi also learned another good news at this time. What? Exhibition? You look very happy. Amu asked curiously when he saw this. When Yuanzi heard what Amu said, her face couldn't help but blush, and then she said with some prevarication, yeah, it's nothing, it's just, Conan stood aside and turned his eyes. Sister Sonoko, I understand, it must be the Mega Gem exhibition, right? Did Kid have a notice letter? No. Yuanzi immediately denied. Then he glanced at Amu from the corner of his eye and saw that he was just curious, so he said, it's not a mega gem, but a pearl. Pearls? Kid is still interested in this kind of thing. Xiaolan wondered. Well, just now Sonoko only denied the mega stone but not Kid. Xiaolan immediately understood what was going on. That's not an ordinary pearl, it's a fin bead. It's an heirloom of our family. Yuanzi said confidently. In fact, she just found out about it. Fin bead? Xiaolan obviously didn't know what it was. It's the pearl bred by the legendary Kapu Fin. It is said that in addition to possessing amazing fairy power, it can also bring good luck to people. Conan explained at this time. But seeing everyone looking at him, Conan quickly changed his face and said, this is what I heard from brother Eminem. He used to be very concerned about his luck. Eminem gave him a dirty look after hearing this, using me as a shield. How dare you ridicule me? Luck. Speaking of this issue, Eminem really has some thoughts. Drawing the death lottery twice in a row made Eminem a little less confident, and he really wanted to find some things to balance him out. Point of course, forget about Dark Star. It is an heirloom of the Suzuki family, and it is impossible to lend it to yourself. Yes. My mother said so too. It is said that this Dark Star gave my grandfather good luck and led him to discover large mines one after another. Yuanzi nodded at this time. Dark Star? HMM. Amu was surprised at first, then nodded thoughtfully. Point judging from the name, this should be a black pearl, and, since it comes from Capufin, it must contain the power of fairy type, and it is appropriate to be called Star, isn't? Kid only interested in mega gems. Xylan still didn't quite understand. Conan said from the side, pearls are also called the queen of gems, and I think Kid is interested in all the gems related to Pokémon. Mega gems are naturally gems related to Pokémon, and the legendary Dark Star from Capufin is definitely one of them. I heard about it on a short video. Hahaha. Seeing that Eminem didn't seem to know this, Conan made an old excuse. Don't let your children play with mobile phones all the time. I'll buy some exercise books for him later. Eminem reminded Xylan. Conan, from Deadwood City to Rampa City. Xylaksha muttered at this time. Huh. Xylaksha, is there something wrong with you? Eminem couldn't help but ask at this time. When leaving the arena, Xylaksha was called away by her father once, and when she came back later, she looked a little uneasy. Actually, well, we can still go together before we get to Rampa City. Xylaksha said at this time. Lampa City refers to the port city not far from Sangzao town. That is, when Amu first started traveling to Zengxin town, the small port where he took the boat was not Lamperki on the outskirts of Deadleaf City. Hey, why don't you go to the Chengdu area later? Yuanzi heard the meaning of Xylaksha's words and immediately asked. She and Xylan have decided that the travel location for the next semester will be in the Chengdu area because Dandy recommends walking more and seeing more. So, didn't high schools and various places go to different areas every semester? You can get extra credits. Xylan is not short of credits, but Yuanzi is more nervous. In addition, in the 3rd grade, there will be extra points for going to the Gala region. This can be regarded as Dandy giving back to his hometown, so he calls on everyone to come to the Gala region before graduation. I will go to all areas, but not right away. Xylaksha's tone was both regretful and firm. Obviously she has her own thing to do. Indeed, from the perspective of a trainer, she is not Eminem and has a god's path. In fact, the most suitable way for Xylaksha now is to accumulate some training, rather than rushing to the next area and starting a new one. Journey. The master of the Bakuan Pavilion probably told her this before when he met her. Maybe the owner of the Blazing Flame Hall has some training suitable for his daughter, or maybe he just reminded his daughter about the growth route. Of course, Xylaksha is not going back to retreat immediately, but she will not be with the ship for the second half of the journey to the Johto area. Speaking of which, should I ask, are you really in such a hurry to go to the Johto area? Sonoko glanced at Amu suspiciously. In contrast, Eminem's impatient way of traveling is really problematic. Of course, I also want to win the Johto region's rookie championship, Eminem said immediately. Eminem is still very confident about this, although it is still half a year, but now Eminem has become the harvest priest, and I can clearly feel that the training efficiency of this more than 1 month is much higher than before. In the Johto area, if you catch Pokémon again and train them for half a year, Amu will definitely be stronger than now. If it is a Pokémon of the 3 types of earth, grass, and poison, you can at least train it at level 70 or even higher. You won't suffer a big loss if you go head to head with the current badge. Brother Eminem, do you think you can't win this time? Conan asked innocently, blinking his big eyes. Slim Shady, brother Eminem, aren't you angry? Conan saw that Eminem ignored him and went to look at the illustrated book. No, brother is helping you place an order for the exercise book. Chapter 375 Appearance. Alliance September 4th, 200-point ribbon cutting ceremony for job and Twin Towers in Quartz City. Eminem was well dressed and had arrived at the venue half an hour early. Zyaksha and Yuanzi were mysterious and said they wanted to dress up, so they didn't come with Eminem. Eminem was the one who bumped into Uncle Kagoro's car, and he came over first with Conan and Zio AI. By the way, Zyoma and his uncle haven't been found yet. Eminem asked the two of them about the progress of the incident. It seems that he has been missing for 2 days. No news. The kidnappers haven't contacted us yet. Kagoro was a little annoyed when he mentioned this. When he arrived at the Twin Towers, Eminem looked up and hesitated before deciding to walk up boldly. Although in the theatrical version, this building was bombed, but now, this place is full of guests. The small-scale banquets held before were indeed more important guests. But the most important guests only came today. As only Eminem knows, Dr. Oji and Boss Sakaki will be here. And the guest commentators from the previous rookie competition, such as Anamaru Hallmaster and Kona Tenno, will also be here. After all, they are all here. No matter how stubborn the dark organization is, they won't come to send them now, right? If you dare to drink gin, you must be drinking fake wine. Taking the sightseeing elevator, we arrived at the top floor of the 68th floor. Now this place was very different from when Eminem came 2 days ago. It was no longer empty, but filled with long tables that had been prepared. Self-pick-up food. But at this moment, Eminem was concerned and glanced at Bayin Mountain through the floor-to-ceiling glass, and then looked to the other side. This is Tower A. You can see the main peak of Bayin Mountain to the north, while Tower B is to the south. The Twin Towers have an asymmetric design. If the hemisphere on the top floor of Tower B is also counted as one floor, the number of floors in the two towers is the same, but each floor of Tower B is shorter. So from the top floor of Tower A, looking at the roof of Tower B, it is completely overlooking. Tomorrow's semi-finals will be held on the top floor of Building B. The venue inside should have been set up as a Pokémon battlefield now. We will just wait for the tournament committee to draw lots to determine the random venue type before further arrangements are made. At that time, the cover of this hemisphere will be opened, and the auditorium will be where Eminem is now. A slope-shaped auditorium facing Block B will be raised, so that you can watch the semi-finals from a bird's eye view. Ah, you watching tomorrow's battlefield? A somewhat familiar voice suddenly came from behind Eminem. Ah, Dr. Omu, you are here too. Amu turned around and found that it was Dr. Omu. I watched yesterday's game. Unfortunately, that guy Jumu has been too busy recently, but I believe he at least watched the broadcast of the game and must be proud of you. Dr. Omu praised. Just, is that a compliment? Eminem doesn't know what teacher Jumu is usually busy with. Sometimes he is too busy to be old man asking you, and sometimes he is too busy for a day or two before reading the news. Seeing that Eminem was a little embarrassed, Dr. Oak laughed and said, ha ha ha, of course, I'm not talking about your tactics, but the bond between you and Pokémon. Well, if we cut out all of Eminem's tactics and focus on Eminem's telepathic micro-control command, repeated Mega Evolution, easily complete the encouragement of Pokémon when it is on the verge of losing the battle, or even if the most important clips of having the ability to win the championship in half a year are put together, the feeling will be completely different from now. Just like now, Eminem is also very popular in the forums discussing the Kanto region rookie competition in the Quartz Alliance, and even in major trainer forums around the world. Although good at tactics, in the mainstream view of trainers in the Pokémon world, is a representative of misguided and strength first and then weakness. There are also a number of musts. Eminem was naturally humble in front of Dr. Romu. In addition, sure enough, Counselor Iwamatsu was not an important character, and Dr. Oki was not at all affected by his distant cousin. Probably Eminem's previous complaint had an effect. At this moment, a soft cry came. Eminem followed everyone's gaze and found that Zyaksha, Yuanzi and Zyalin were here. At this time, the three of them were all wearing long dresses, but their makeup did not look heavy. The youthful atmosphere unique to girls was still permeated. Zyaksha is dressed in light blue, Yuanzi is dressed in pink, and Zyalin is dressed in pure white. Well, Eminem is very pleased that Yuanzi is not wearing leopard print. Only Eminem could feel that ZioAI's whole body tightened next to her. It was not because he felt the aura of the dark organization, but because he saw Yuanzi at this time. Yuanzi actually had a perm similar to ZioAI's hairstyle. For a moment, ZioAI felt like she saw himself on the other side of Eminem. Conan was already stunned like an idiot. He only reacted after Eminem rubbed his head angrily. Dr. Omu had already gone to say hello to Dr. Ali at this time. Dr. Ali arrived with Xiaolan and the others, but no one noticed him. Dr. Oki finally changed into a formal suit, while Dr. Ali was still wearing a white coat that looked like a broken jar. Hey, kid, why are you blushing when you see Xiaolan? No, you're not so precocious, are you? Yuanzi blushed when she saw Eminem coming over, and then immediately moved away from Eminem's face. He stared at Conan. Yuanzi, don't say such things to children. How about it, Eminem? Now you don't think it's the hairband anymore, right? After Xiaolan stopped Yuanzi, she immediately returned the topic to Yuanzi. Hearing Xiaolan say this, Yuanzi immediately became uneasy and said quickly, I suddenly thought of trying a different hairstyle. Hehe. Otherwise, if you specifically mentioned hairbands or something, wouldn't it make it look like you changed it for some guy who mentioned hairbands several times? A sudden thought. ZioAI was hiding behind Damu's legs, revealing half of her head and looking at Yuanzi. Something to learn from. Yuanzi's face turned red again when he saw ZioAI. Then Yuanzi discovered that Eminem was not struggling with her new hairstyle, but was already looking at Xiaoxia. At this time, Xiaoxia completely let down her braids that were usually tied crookedly and tied her short hair past her neck, making her look more capable. On Leixi borrowed the skirt from Yuanzi, and Eminem quietly compared it. It fit perfectly. It can be seen that the two of them confirmed each other, and the other party was not big. What are you looking at? Xiaoxia asked keenly, smiling as she spoke, that before Eminem could say anything, the voice of the owner of the Blazing Flame Pavilion had already passed through his ears. Humph, you also think that the fiery red color is more suitable, Slim Shady. If you want to say something, just speak louder and tell me something. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.